Now it's the race. Who's going to say hi first? Paul, AJC,
Hello, friends.
Baby Jules. Who you got your money on?
Paul.
I will say someone reached out to me on Twitter about a sponsorship yesterday.
Huh. If I write some stuff over the weekend, can we cut it next week?
Yeah.
Okay, so that we'll run the 2 ads, and then we'll run us soliciting ads.
Yeah. I may write one for McWilliams Buckley.
You should. Absolutely, you should. Sure. Yeah. We're getting rid of all the free stuff. Getting rid of it. Yeah, totally.
So I didn't call you yesterday because I knew you had a lot going on. Craig Hicks found a golf course for us on the 26th.
Okay.
Gateway. It's not West Bay, but
Okay. So are we doing it?
Well, Marty's still been big in a tournament. He's got, that guy we met in Tampa thinks he has a sponsor. I talked to him yesterday.
Okay.
So I told Craig, give me 24 hours to try to get our ducks in a row. I can't put our necks on the line for that kind of money.
Well, he's got to cut the check, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's why I don't want to do it ourselves. I don't.
There we go. Thanks to you, Paul. I'm a winner. Oh, we're not on, are we? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, you are.
I guess you'd be first, Paul. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
What?
Nothing. Farting around with this. There you go. I think I got it. I think I got it now.
Need some tape?
Nope.
All right, just checking.
Are we hearing anything in the headsets? Do you hear
No.
us? No? Okay. Ambient with a little Ed McMahon there. Hey-o!
And if Ambient could have any idea who Ed McMahon is, Ed McMahon's been dead longer than Ambient's been alive.
Huh.
Now you're looking up when Ed died?
I
am. Sorry. I thought it deserved an Ed laugh, too. God, I was watching a Rickles.
14 years ago.
Watching a Rickles. He looks at Ed. Ed just sits here. Then after the show,
10 seconds. listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How's your week gone? Let's end it together, shall we? How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers. I think I got these right. 43, 48, and 55. 43 days to week, 6 weeks tomorrow. College football season gets underway with week 0. Notre Dame, USC, 2 of the 7 games taking place. That might be enough for you to consider the season getting underway. If 43 days is not enough, then 48 days. 7 weeks yesterday. Florida, UCF in action to kick off week 1 on the Thursday before Labor Day. 55 days away. We are Sammy Hagar away from Lions and Chiefs. You know, the Red Rockers, 76 later this year.
Saw him a few years ago.
He's touring. I will say, okay, he's still a good show, even for mid-70s. Sammy's a rocker.
Right. He doesn't sing everything anymore, though.
Right.
Michael Anthony from Van Halen, when I saw toured with him, the bass player from Van Halen, they're close. And Michael Anthony sings probably as much as Sammy. Still a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. But so there you go, 43, 48, and 55. Hope you've had a good week, and thanks for spending part of it with us here on Miller and Moulton. Baseball gets back underway today. You know, 5 of the 6 division races are 2 games or less. I mean, this season does harpoon my want more than maybe any recent season.
Races everywhere.
I mean, the Rays are 2 ahead of the Orioles. The Guardians and Twins, are they tied?
Or a game or a half game.
You know, the Rangers are 2 over Houston. Only the National League East, which, you know, there's already an X next to the Braves. And then the Reds are a game over Milwaukee, and Arizona and the Dodgers are tied. That's pretty damn good.
You're darn right.
I mean, what more do you want? The Reds and the Brewers played a 3-game series before the All-Star break. They come back after the All-Star break. They play another series, and then like a week later, they're playing another series. Why don't we just end this thing now? Declare the winner at the end of July. But good stuff here. I would like to think with so many teams this jumbled together, Mark, you know, there's 2 things that excite me more than anything else.
Hall of Fames and a trade deadline.
There you go, baby. Throw in a draft, and, well, it's a trifecta.
And this month will determine a lot as to how the trade deadline goes, because there are, despite the races that you talked about in the wild card end, there are a ton of teams that still think they're in it, and we'll find out in the next 15 days how many of them still think that they are.
And the top 3 payroll teams are all out of the playoffs today. Mets, Yankees, Padres are 1, 2, 3 in payroll. They're all out. Mets and Padres are below 500. I mean, they got to get hot in the next 2.5 weeks, or else they're sellers. Yankees are a game out of the playoffs right now in the American League.
And still leading the AL Central by 3.5.
That doesn't do you any good.
No, it doesn't. Not when you're in the AL East.
You do know what happens if the Yankees miss the playoffs and they're like 9 games better than whoever wins the Central.
We'll get rid of divisions.
Exactly. It's like the NFL cannot have a below 500 team make the playoffs, never mind host the playoff game. It's not right. The Bucs should not have been in the playoffs last year at 8-9. Yeah, that's how we're doing it. Tough. Deal with it. Who was it yesterday? Was it Buster Olney? Somebody said the Yankees are the leader in terms of trading for Ohtani.
Right. I saw that as well.
But I also saw a prominent baseball guy, was it Ken Rosenthal, say, don't rule out the Rays. Whoa. Hey now. That's what I'm talking about.
I couldn't even imagine. You know, it's to the point where you still get shocked. Well, I shouldn't say that. In the last decade, you've been shocked a couple of times about a handful of things, sports-wise.
Yep.
Very few.
Manny Ramirez on steroids.
That-
Unbelievable. It threw me for a loop for 3 days. Felipe, you should have been here. You were like 6 years old. My goodness. They picked me up off the floor. They just rolled me down the hall and said, you go home for the rest of the week. I shocked.
And there's not much that shocks me. If that happened, that would shock me. That would qualify as holy blank.
Well, I just ask you right now, if they were to win, if they get Ohtani and win the World Series, no matter what they're not going to give up Wander Franco. Okay. So they're not going to give up Randy Arozarena or Wander Franco. That's not what it would happen, but they would give up 4
really good players.
They would give up at least one major league player. They'd give up one guy who's starting for him now. They'd give up at least 3 other prospects, 2 of whom were considered absolute definite starters, and the other a depth piece. That would probably be the package minimum to get Ohtani. I mean, David Sampson's been laying it out. You're acquiring a pitcher. Okay. If he were just pitching, what would you have to give up to get him? Then you're acquiring the hitter. What would you have to give up if you're just acquiring the bat? Now add it together. And he said it's a minimum of 4 pieces. It could be 6. He said, because you could, if you press the envelope, say you could get 3 pieces for the hitter and 3 pieces for the pitcher. He goes, but you definitely can get 4 pieces. You can definitely get 2 for each element. Hey, man, when you've never won the world, what wouldn't you do for 1 ring? I mean, until the Braves won it 2 years ago, what wouldn't it? Thank God the Braves had 95. Braves fan is sitting there going, all this winning's great, but the Marlins have 2 rings and we only have 1. Okay. How many Braves fans would have traded? Yeah, we've been terrific for 30 years and made the playoffs like 23 times. We got 1 ring. They made the playoffs twice. They got 2 rings. I think I'd trade.
Oh, David, there's nothing I wouldn't give up to do this. I'd give up the 6 players right now if I were the Rays. I have no issue with doing this. I just would be, of all of the teams.
It'd be awesome.
Yes. I'd rank them 29th.
And the Marlins,
well,
28th.
28th, and the Marlins 29th.
Oakland's 30. The
Right.
Marlins are 29. I actually wouldn't rank them 28, though, because they've got the other thing is the Rays apparently have sneakily been in, like they were in on Freddie Freeman 2 years ago in free agency. He actually ended up choosing the Dodgers over the Rays. If you think about that, that's like, oh, wow. Apparently they offered 25 a year for Freddie Freeman. Oh, yeah, that'd be a nice bat to have right now, wouldn't it? Now we could sit down, do the math on Ohtani, what he makes. I mean, you'd sell out every game the rest of the year, right? Now, I mean, it's a whopping 25,025 people, but you'd have to figure, you just sit down, do the math and say, well, we can count on attendance being this.
And I think they open it up and they might do more than 25 a game at that point. I mean, that's.
So you do them, whatever that's worth to you. You figure out how much you made on the Braves series when you had 3 sellouts. And you say, well, we'd have this for how many home games we got left? 30? Do the math. We're going to get some playoff money.
If you're the Rays and you're actually serious about this, and it's possible, don't you start by calling Brady and having Brady help make the pitch for Tampa?
Hey, and we'll throw in a creamsicle Bucks jersey.
Because he may know who Brady is. I doubt he knows who Stamkos is.
Right. That's true. Yeah. A Vasilevsky can't help you here.
No.
Usually he can.
When in doubt, a Vasilevsky usually is a pretty good helper.
And it's a nice tiebreaker to have.
Right.
In between the pipes. But, although, he's spending time in the off seasons in Seattle, maybe he's a Kraken season ticket holder. Who knows?
Who knows?
But would you make the deal? And I'm being serious, because this would be the type of deal. Obviously, it'd be a 2 to 3 month rental. You're not signing him, so you're giving up a minimum of 4 guys that you believe are starters. They're going to either be pitching for you or in your lineup in the next 2 years. That's 4 guys, 4 starters. you're going to get how many starts out of him on the mound? 10. And you're going to get, 60 games? How many games they got left? 65, something like that. You're going to get 250, 300 plate appearances, 250 at-bats. You're going to get 10 let's just say 12. We'll include the playoffs. You're going to get 12 starts. You're going to get 300 plate appearances. You're giving up 4 starters, whether pitchers or everyday players, with no guarantees of the outcome, obviously. You could be Braves got knocked out by the Phillies last year. Took them out in 4. Braves won 15 more games in the regular season than the Phillies.
Could not do it fast enough.
Okay. Felipe, do the deal?
Oh, yeah. It would save your franchise.
Franchise ain't going anywhere.
We've been talking about moving talks and whatnot. They would stay in Tampa for another 20 years.
Well, I will say, though, would a bold move like that invigorate the sports fan in that area to be like, hey, they're really trying to win? And then maybe when you ask the community for money, you'd be more inclined to give it.
I think so.
Hey, they're really
I think
trying.
it legitimizes the franchise. You've said Evan Longoria is the best player in franchise history. I think you're right. Been a really good team.
Yeah, 15 years. Yeah, been a nice run.
And they've really, the TV ratings are good and the radio ratings are good. And we all know the problems of driving from Tampa to St. Pete. We get it. This ends all of that. This becomes must-see entertainment.
Once again, a guy that we are actively discussing, is he having the greatest season in Major League Baseball history right now?
Listen, he's doing things that even Babe Ruth didn't do. I mean, he could hit 60. He probably won't. But if he doesn't get hurt, he's going to be a number 1 starter with over 50 home runs.
Bingo.
That's ridiculous. It's like the best kid on your high school team doing it in the major damn leagues. All right. That's how we're getting going here. We haven't even played a game yet after the All-Star break. Fired up. Miller and Moulton. Happy Friday, everybody.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Kuchenberg's on the list again, huh?
Oh, don't get me going.
Jim Marshall's not a Hall of Famer. Okay.
Isn't that shocking?
This is just the senior. Is this just the veterans?
That's
group?
just the seniors who
Right.
they're nominating. Right.
Wow. I don't. By the way, I don't think his high school sweetheart went to A&M with Mahomes. I could be wrong, but
You mean Texas Tech?
Texas Tech rather,
Right.
because they went back for his Ring of Honor thing,
Uh-huh.
and you would have thought they would have said they both win, obviously,
Right.
but he just talked about how important Texas Tech was to him and never mentioned her.
Right.
It gave me the assumption that she wasn't there.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think so. So, that means they did the long distance thing while in college.
Right. The funny thing was Kirk Cousins' man cave, like his room of all his stuff. He's got a beautiful house in Michigan, they show, on the lake. And off the bedroom, there's a Murphy bed door that goes into another room. It's a hidden wall that goes into a room as well. He's like, I don't want it out in the middle of the living room with all his football stuff. I'm like, nah. Costs a lot of money to build those places. I like how it tells you what things are trending with. Publix is trending with Messi, so everybody's trying to.
Did you see the video?
Did he have a sub?
He was shopping at Publix.
Of course he was.
And everybody left him alone. So somebody sent out a thing on Twitter in which they show Messi trying to pull into his driveway at his house in Europe. And there's thousands of people in the streets and what have you. Then they showed a video of him with his shopping cart down aisle 5 in Publix.
Unreal.
But when Messi signed, he did say, I'm doing this for a lifestyle. He goes, I want a lifestyle change. It's like when all the famous people moved to New York. Moved to New York, get left alone.
Right?
They yell at you across the street, hey, man. That's it. That's why Jackie Onassis moved to New York. She goes, they left me alone. Coffin Ball, Jim Marshall, a sack away. Which game do you think they were a sack away from being a Super Bowl champion? They went 0 for 4, and none of those games were really close. Even the one they lost to the Steelers by 10, their only points were a block punt.
I wonder how many people do you think would recognize Messi if you went to a Publix in Port Charlotte?
None. I don't know if I would.
It's unbelievable.
You might be walking out and think to yourself, God, that guy looked a lot like Messi.
Yeah.
Couldn't be, though. Plus,
so
also, you
funny.
take the soccer uniform off him. He's a normal sized guy, right?
He's only 5'7".
He's not. He's a short. He's a little guy.
He's 5'7".
So what's he, about 5'7", $180, probably?
I got you.
I mean, he's probably muscular, maybe 200, but doesn't look it.
I doubt he's 200.
No way.
159.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us on this Friday. Magic numbers, 43, 48, and 55. Training camps open next week. What was that comment by Aaron Rodgers? He's being interviewed yesterday. The NFL, shoved it down our throats?
Shoved it down our throats. Became official. I don't know to whom.
Right.
That the Jets are going to be on Hard Knocks. Something that we've all known for a couple of weeks now.
We all did the math even before that. Let's see. Instead of the Saints, the Commanders. Yeah, it's going to be the Jets. Yeah. So, listen, you worked for a handful of professional sports teams and within a couple of major professional organizations. And you've given various degrees of responsibility to fan bases, to season ticket holders. Would you have been okay if we were in a meeting and I said, you're talking about your Ring of Honor? And I said, hey, how about we let the fans determine who goes in the Ring of Honor? In fact, I got a better idea. How about we let only season ticket holders determine who goes in the Ring of Honor?
Are you nuts? Would be my first response.
Okay.
Because obviously you're talking about any franchise. If you're doing a Ring of Honor, they've been there for more than an hour and a half.
You mean the fans or the players?
The team.
Right. Yeah.
The fans not necessarily have been there that whole time.
Well, true. You could be like you were a Bucs season ticket holder for 2 years. You jumped on board in 21, 22, you were gone.
Right.
Or 20 and 21, whatever it was, you were gone. Right. Yep. And what if during those 2 years that you were a Bucs season ticket holder, during one of them, you got a letter in the mail that said, hey, you get to vote on who goes next into the Bucs Ring of Honor? Because the Cincinnati Bengals have only recently started a Ring of Honor. Like the first 50 years of franchise history, they didn't have a Ring of Honor. And finally, the fan base and Mo Egger on sports radio there in Cincy were kind of like, come on, guys. I mean, it's 50 years. There's a few people who deserve, let's get a Ring of Honor. And so the Brown family said, yeah, okay. Well, this year they've decided season ticket holders only will vote the next two players into the Ring of Honor. And so they had 3 weeks to vote online. And the votes have already been tabulated. They're going to announce next week who the next two members of the Bengals Ring of Honor are, as per season ticket holders.
Quite a perk.
Well,
no. I'm not being flippant. It's quite a perk. Of all the things that season ticket holders get, and some teams do a tremendous job of giving them really nice access and giving them extra perks and whatever the case may be.
Some swag even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Voting for the Ring of Honor?
Well, if that was, they'd get so much money from me. I get to vote on the Ring of Honor.
It's like voting for a Hall of Fame for you, David. It's as
Got that
close as you
right.
get.
I'm all in. We're upgrading our tickets, damn it.
Do I get 2 votes if I'm in club seats?
If I'm in the lower bowl, do I get 2 votes? I'll move down for the mezzanine. So
my Super Bowl champs
right,
are
yes.
determining their Ring of Honor or their next members of the Ring of Honor via season ticket holder vote.
I will say, you are going with the Bengals as hard as I went with the Braves. All right. I was early, well before we were doing opening day there from outside the Trop. I was like, it's a Braves-Rays World Series, and the Braves are going to win. You have been pounding the Bengals now for damn near the start of free agency. You are all in on Joe Burrow. And I love you for it because I got a serious man crush on him, but okay. So, yes, your Super Bowl champion Bengals. By the way, how weird is that? Does that really flow off the tongue? Or
No.
So I'm going to try that again because it just sounded choppy. Your Super Bowl champion Bengals.
Yeah, doesn't really, not much of a ring to that. I mean, you said it perfectly. There's nothing you could change in your inflection at all with how you did that. It just doesn't sound right.
I thought it was a little smoother the second time.
It was. It still sounds a lot like Chiefs and Lions to open up the NFL season. Who's playing the joke on us?
So if you're a season ticket holder for the Super Bowl champion Bengals, then you got to vote on the next two players who go into the Ring of Honor. Corey Dillon, when finding out that season ticket holders are the ones determining, went on an expletive-laced tirade, saying, once again, what a joke this franchise is. He clearly wants to be in the Ring of Honor. He clearly feels he should. And I will say, if you look at his career, actually, Corey Dillon should garner serious consideration for the Hall of Fame if you look at his career closely. And he did go from the Bengals to the Patriots, and he was their dominant running back on, it was either the 03 or the 04 team. I mean, he had well over 1,000 yards. They were more a running team than a passing team. That was early Brady. All right. I mean, could have been the icing on a Hall of Fame cake there, but he's never really gotten serious consideration. But anyway, back to the Bengals and the season ticket holders. Listen, I want to do as much as possible for people who spend their hard-earned money on a sports team. I think that's a little much. Now, maybe giving them a say in which we say, well, according to the fans' vote, the fans really want to see Boomer Esiason in. Oh, okay.
It even could be 25% of the vote, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Or 33. I'd be willing to go as high as 33%.
But my initial reaction is, are you crazy? I'm with Dylan here on this one. I really am.
So, and of course, Corey also realizes that means he's never going to get in. Yeah, I mean, that if they keep doing it this way, because he did not leave a popular guy, he wanted out, as a lot of people.
A lot of Bengals did before there was a Joe Burrow there.
Right.
Now they want to show up and play.
It's like, does Carson Palmer then ever get in? Because Carson said, I'm done. No way. I'm not playing for this franchise anymore. This franchise is a joke. And he wasn't wrong. I mean, until Joe Burrow, the franchise was a joke. So a little fodder there. The teams and halls of fame, rings of honor, and what have you. How do you do it? Like it's a joke in Dallas. Jimmy Johnson's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's not in the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
And probably won't be until Jared's gone.
And Jared did say on national television at Hall of Fame weekend, when he joined Jimmy on the Fox set, he did say, yes, we're going to put you in the Ring of Honor. And Jimmy did jokingly say, while I'm alive. Turns out Jimmy was onto something. By the way, I think Jimmy Johnson's only a year younger than Jerry Jones. Put the two of them side by side. How much younger does Jimmy Johnson look than Jared Jones?
Jimmy's probably up right now getting ready to go fish. The mahi are probably running, and he's ready to head out.
Yep.
And Jared's trying to get 1 foot on the floor.
Trying to figure out, who am I going to get to back up Tony Pollard at running back? Steven? Hey, son, who are we looking at? So there you have it. Hey, make sure you re-up your Bengals season tickets. And while you're at it, vote for the newest members of the Ring of Honor.
It's a season ticket perk here in Cincinnati, because ultimately, where are you going to go? Oh, that's the other team. They're in first place.
Miller and Moulton. The starting five is next. Bud Elliott's going to join us on the show today. Steve Carney's going to join us on the show today. It's not bad for a mid-July Friday edition. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Ricky's now T3 after a chip in. For the life of me, I don't know why this wasn't on the Golf Channel yesterday. There it is.
Dan Wetzel. I'm still waiting for the Pac-12 and the gas station TV deal, though. Golly.
So, what the hell happened to Rory today? He's gone the other way.
No, it's a shame.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's what we want to see. We want to see the Barbasol. We don't want to see the Scottish Open.
Oh, that's what.
We want to see the.
No wonder I like. Where's?
Did you see who the leading candidate now is to work with Skip Bayless? You didn't see? Richard Sherman. Apparently they had dinner together.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, been on TV before.
I'd be really surprised if Richard Sherman. I would think Skip would have to change a little bit for Richard Sherman to play along. Here we go. Here's the steal. Look at this. He just turns around. Bada bing, bada boop, boop, boop. I had Arby's curly fries, by the way, is what I went with because it was closest to where I was. And I got a really bad batch. I got the last thing of fries in the corner. They were burnt. They were all really small. You should not have served any customer that. You should have looked at that and said, nah, we got to wait for the fresh fries. We can't give them these. It was bad.
Nothing worse than getting a bad batch.
Well, Munoz is already in DC, but Boomer's not. I think Ring of Honor is Munoz, Ken Anderson, Willie Anderson, I think, are in the Bengals Ring of Honor.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks for being with us. Steve Carney, an hour from now, we'll talk some Rays. I got some issues. Tied in the loss column with the Orioles. Top of the AL East. They start the second half. It's not really the second half. Start the final 40% of their season. Post All-Star break, though, they're in action in Kansas City. Talk to Steve Carney about the Rays between now and the trade deadline, which is a little less than 3 weeks away. And 2 hours from now, Bud Elliott joins us. Bud will be a regular once again during the season. In fact, he texted me earlier. He's like, hey, when do you want me on the show again? I go, wait, are you booking yourself on? Are you one of those? I said, are you Danielson? Are you Kerwin? Are you Sampson? I said, are you booking yourself on the show now?
I love it.
So Bud's like, yeah, I'm just lining up my fall. I'm like, okay, we can do this. So Bud Elliott's going to be a regular, and he'll join us in a couple hours.
I try from time to time as we talk about to get in shape, but I try to go for a walk as much as I can. And because my in shape of running days have long passed me.
Good for you.
But every time I go for a walk now, I download a couple episodes of Bud's previews. I think he calls it spring football,
right?
Where he jumps into every team, and just been getting my feet wet with
cool
little college football. Bud does a good job.
Yes,
he
does.
Gets the 24/7 reporter from each team and goes one-on-one with them on every one of the Division I college football teams. So pretty good job done by Bud, and he's on the show today.
And there's a couple different ways you can chime in. You can do so on the text line, 21,000. If you have never texted us before at 21,000, you need to submit a keyword with it. It's FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio. Otherwise, after that, it's just 21,000, and you can text us to your heart's content. You could also watch the show on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, where as of today, we have 1,000 followers. How about that?
Only been at this for a couple of years.
I know. Well, just literally one at a time, damn near one show at a time. So, if you think about it, that's like we've picked up 2 followers per show in our third act here. We're coming up on 2 full years in our third act, in our syndicated portion. And we're picking up like 2 followers a day. Slow and steady wins the race, right? No, probably not. I know what we both make.
Woohoo!
We're definitely not winning the race. Time now for
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Listen, I don't know if there was a major story yesterday. I mean, if you want to get your football fix, the Jets re-signed defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to a 4-year, $96 million extension. Boy, D tackles have gotten paid
Yes, they have.
this offseason. That's the 4th first-round pick from within the last 4 years who has gotten a multi-year extension between $22.5 and $24 million per year. Did you hear the amazing statistical factoid about Quinnen Williams? He is the first Jets first-round pick to get a second contract since 2011.
Now we know why they've gone through the GMs that they have.
They're 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 first-round picks all did not get a second contract. Wow. So $66 million of the $96 million is guaranteed. He's under contract now for the next 5 years. The Saquon Barkleys of the world who were offered, the tag and haven't signed it, they've got till the end of business on Monday to sign it, or else can't negotiate a long-term deal. And then we'll see whether or not certain guys hold out and what have you. One other football note, Canes picked up a 5-star wide receiver from Hollywood, Florida yesterday, Joshita Trader. He chose them over Florida State, and Ohio State.
Over everybody. You get a 5-star, he chose you over everyone.
Well, then they release their final 5, and so go from there. Major League Baseball resumes post-All-Star break today. Rays in Kansas City, Marlins in Baltimore. If we had said 3.5 months ago when we were outside the Trop, at the All-Star break, the Orioles and the Marlins are going to play a series in Baltimore, and they're going to have 2 of the top 5 records in baseball.
David, the only person that picked the Marlins to even go over 500 was our producer, and nobody listens to him anyhow.
Well, we just came off the top rope, and we're like, you Miami homer. Come on now.
And even Felipe would have never imagined they did it this way.
Well, and also, I don't even know if he said over 500. He said, I think the Marlins are going to be a 500 team.
Right.
I think I said at least 500.
Did you say at least?
Yeah.
Okay. And we might have sarcastically said 82 and 80. And so, yeah. And we chastised them. And now, joke's on us. Did you hear about the new TV deal that the ACC has with the CW network? This is not a joke. So apparently the ACC has had 50 to 60 football and basketball games a year that were kind of sublet to Raycom. ESPN sublet like 50, 60 games a year. 17 of those games were football games. Well, Raycom then ends up putting their games on regional, Bally's. Well, now we've got a situation with the Bally's. There could very well be going away in many cases. And for a lot of fans, those games, if it wasn't in your immediate region, you couldn't see them. So what the ACC kind of convinced Raycom to do is, how about if you sublet those games one step further and let's sell them to the CW? Because at least the CW is national. And then this way, everybody, if they want, will be able to see these games. So 13 football games this year are going to be on the CW. And then there's 37 basketball games. I think like 29 of them are men's and 8 of them are women's. So for the next 4 years, 50 football and basketball games a year are going to be sublet onto the CW.
Today on the CW, catch Live Golf, followed by South Carolina women's basketball, all on the CW.
Remember, it's ACC. Okay, but like the Pitt first football game, I think is Pitt Cincinnati. Okay. Now you got to admit, CW is, if you were running a league, I mean, if you're the commissioner of the ACC, insert joke here about the CW, but you have a choice, the game to be on Bally's Regional or the CW. You would choose the CW. CW's national. Okay. And there is don't have to worry about it that Bally's Regional folds or anything like that. I know it's still a punchline. Here's what I'm wondering. Do you remember when we laughed about 6 weeks ago? Because the Pac-12 struggling to come up with a TV deal. And the word was that the CW was negotiating to carry Pac-12 football, that they were the network that was stepping up and was going to pay the necessary money so that the Pac-12 could turn to their membership and say, you don't have to leave. Does this give the CW and then therefore the Pac-12 more credibility because the ACC made a deal with them first?
David, I started trying to compare this to when Fox got in the sports world in my head. Fox jumped in with the NFL. They made themselves, they went and got an entity.
Right.
And they said, we're doing sports.
Yep.
So far, the CW has got Live Golf and ACC extras.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's not nearly as much available. It was a lot easier to get your hands on a property in 1994.
No, I know.
But now they could, if they want, they could buy the Pac-12. They could. You got to start somewhere. And what did we literally just talk about yesterday? How network television, the produced shows, the comedies and the dramas, advertisers are not buying them. Do you know what they're buying? They're buying sports. They have no trouble selling network sports right now. What just happened yesterday, by the way? Actors went on strike to support the writers. There ain't going to be any original television in the fall, except sports.
By the way, that could have been part of the starting five for all of you that didn't know. The actors are going out on strike with the writers because we all watch so much original television these days.
I understand.
No. I'm not knocking you at all. I just
but it is all part of the story.
No, it is. And I just, does the CW then all of a sudden decide they're going to make a play for the NBA? I'm trying to look forward. What's there? You're dipping your toe in the sports water.
You're getting your hands on whatever you can. And obviously you're starting pretty small here, pretty bottom of the pile with LIV and then the 50 ACC football and basketball games you can get your hands on. What if you do go Pac-12? Oh, okay, well then what's next? I don't know. Got to start somewhere though, right? And yes, the NBA's up in 2 years. Greg Sankey's contract was extended through 2028 as Grand Poobah of the SEC. Felipe, did you hear the Heat's official trade offer to the Blazers for Dame? It's Tyler Hero and 3 first-round picks. Apparently Portland has said, that's cute. That ain't going to do it. My guess is Miami just keeps that offer on the table and says to Portland, you go find a 3rd and 4th team. You want more? You go find... we'll send Duncan Robinson somewhere else and they'll throw in a pick and fine. You want more, you work it.
Can I just say it now? I don't think he's getting traded to Miami.
He is. It just could take a while. It could be a Durant situation in which, remember, Durant didn't get traded till February. He requested a trade in the summer. He didn't get traded till February. He's going to Miami. But it's going to take a while. Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Veterans Committee threw out like 24 guys as semifinalists, those with Florida connections. Mark Clayton, former Dolphin, the late Bob Kuechenberg, don't get me started. And he was OJ, and then he was also Otis. Go with whatever you want. Former Kane running back Otis Anderson. Amongst the 24 that are nominated by the Veterans Committee, they are semifinalists. The list of those who are not in the Hall of Fame, you will be surprised, actually, the quality of players on that list who are not in. Hey, there was some news yesterday in the whole PGA Tour LIV PIF thing. So apparently Congress took a look at the agreement and they said, hey, there's a clause in here about no poaching. Like the PGA Tour won't poach LIV guys and the LIV guys aren't going to poach any more PGA Tour players. Yeah, that's very monopolistic. You got to get rid of that. And so yesterday they got rid of the no poaching clause. So going forward, first off, it also implies that the LIV is going to stick around, which, depending on who you talk to, the one side is like, damn right, we're sticking around. The other side's right, we're getting rid of you as soon as we can.
I'd rather retire than play on LIV.
I know. I'd play the 4 majors and that's it. That was Rory McIlroy yesterday. Northwestern fired their baseball coach. He was there a year. The allegations were that he was racist. That's never good. And the defensive coordinator who signed on 6 months ago for North Dakota State, David Braun, he's been named the interim head coach for this year for the football team. It's been a hell of a week for Northwestern.
Yeah, this is one of those weeks where the old adage of any press is good press really doesn't apply to the University of Northwestern.
No, really doesn't.
Or Northwestern University, I should say.
Men's semis later today. Top seed Alcaraz, third seed Djokovic. They're both heavily favored to win their semis and meet in the final on Sunday. Unseeded Vondrousova against the 6th seed Jabeur. They will meet in the women's finals tomorrow. And, Scottish Open's going on right now. Max Homa got within 1 of the lead. Now he's fallen a couple back. Rory's struggling at the start today. Who shot a 61 yesterday, still the leader at 9 under. He's yet to tee off today. 7 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
If you're the Pac-12, CW or streaming, if the money's the same, would you go CW or would you go streaming?
Who am I? I'm not trying to be smart. Am I on Amazon?
So if it was Amazon, you'd go Amazon?
I'd go Amazon.
Okay, fair enough. That literally is what it could come down to. Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Do you follow Sarah Langs on Twitter?
Is that the ALS lady?
The baseball stats
Writer?
girl? Yeah.
No.
Shohei Ohtani on days he pitches this year. Batting average 387. OPS 1.221. Would be the highest OPS by a player in games he pitched since 1901, blah, blah, blah. But it's fourth in batting average. They're all like from the 20s and 30s. Walter Johnson, Jack Bentley, and Joe Bowman. He's hitting 387 on days he pitches. He hits better on days that he pitches. Why is the Scottish Open not on television?
I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't come until 8:30 on the Golf Channel.
Which, of course, begs the question, why?
Because PGA Tour Live has it from 2 a.m. on.
Gotcha. Poll question: If you're the Rays or Marlins, would you give up 4 top prospects to rent Ohtani?
You doing okay over there? You seem low energy. Did you go to the beach?
I did.
Sun wear your ass out?
Or the alcohol?
Both?
The sun, really. I mean, well, here's the thing. I wasn't at the beach for too long because I got a nice nap in.
Yes.
But finally, geez. But yeah, I stayed up late because I'm stupid.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers 43, 48, and 55 to the start of the football season, depending on when it starts for you. Training camps open in the NFL next week. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Steve Carney to join us in a little more than 35 minutes time to talk about the Rays as they begin life post All-Star break with a 2-game lead in the East, but tied in the loss column with the Orioles. And since June 1st, they've had some issues. Talk to Steve about it. Which Rays team you buying? The March 30th, the May 31st team, or the June 1st through All-Star break team? Which one's more the Rays? Talk to Steve about that in 35 minutes time. There was some reporting going on in baseball in the last couple of days saying that you're not going to believe this, but the Rays actually in the mix for Ohtani. And it might be our poll question. We're debating it here. Would you give up 4 prospects, 4 players/prospects to rent Ohtani for 2 to 3 months? Would you do it? Felipe and Mark are like, hell yeah.
In fact, that's my choice.
But
There are 2 choices, hell yes and too much for a rental.
I thought you were going to do 3 choices. Yes, no, hell yes.
No, it's hell yes or too much for a rental.
Gotcha.
If you are the Rays or the Marlins, would you trade 4 players/prospects to rent Ohtani for the rest of the season?
By the way, if you're Kim Ang, your contract's up in 3 months.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know what I have to do to get a contract extension. I've only had final say on personnel for a year, you know. She had to go through Jeter up until a year ago. She only had the one-off season where she was really in charge. Take a look at the moves that have her hand and footprints all over them. They're pretty damn good. Marlins with the best record they've ever had in their history at the All-Star break. She doesn't have a contract extension? What the? If I'm her, I think over the All-Star break, I'd be like, hey, we're going to talk about my contract at all? It's like a scene out of Moneyball. Philip Seymour Hoffman goes, yeah, I can't manage on a 1-year contract. Brad Pitt goes, sure you can. No, I really can't. Yeah, actually you can. I think that'd be me if I was Kim Ang at the All-Star break. Call up Bruce Sherman in Naples and say, hey, I don't know. Things are going pretty well and all. My contract's up in like 10 weeks. You think we could do anything about that? And if he says no, then I think you're like, well, hell, I'll trade the farm for Ohtani. There was another scene in Moneyball in which Brad Pitt says to him, why are you filling out the lineup card this way? And he says, so that I can justify it in job interviews next offseason. If you're Kim Ang, who knows? Maybe you'll be a free agent. You're the GM who traded for Ohtani. Huh? You're not the GM who traded Ohtani. You're the GM who acquired Ohtani. I'm going to be very serious for 2 minutes. All right? And I want the both of you, starting with you, Mark, obviously. I want the both of you to answer this question. If the Marlins acquired Ohtani, would people go to the games?
Yes. Without question. That's what it takes in that market. It takes a star. Look at, and I know but he's the best at what he does.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Miami just acquired another guy that is the best at what he does.
He was shopping at Publix just the other day.
Picking up subs and some high noon, apparently.
Right. And everybody left him alone. He posed for one selfie.
They've sold out the rest of their season.
I think all of Messi's road games have sold out too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get, but Ohtani's as big of a star as Messi, or
right.
At least in the same category. They would sell out immediately.
Felipe, they're averaging 12,600 a game. We do have to point that out. And their capacity is around 35 to 37,000.
The Angels were in Miami. They had a series in Miami last season. the game that Ohtani pitched was one of their highest selling games of the whole year. So, yes, he would.
Okay.
They'd sell out every game he pitched, and I think would sell most tickets for every other game.
Okay. And I also think, I mean, they've been to the playoffs in franchise history how many times?
3, technically.
Yeah, if we're including the pandemic season, they've been to the playoffs 3 times. I know 4 prospects, and, their system's not as deep as it's been in the past because a lot of their prospects now have come up, and they've used a few to acquire some of the guys that they have. But, I mean, think about it, though. If you're the GM, you acquire Ohtani, you're going to be in the playoffs. And remember, you're playing a best-of-3 first-round playoff series. Well, Ohtani's pitching game 1. With your pitching staff?
Sandy game 2.
In all seriousness, by the way, who would want to play the Marlins in the playoffs if they added Ohtani to that rotation? And God forbid Alcantara becomes 2022 Alcantara. There isn't a team they couldn't beat in a playoff series.
Did you see what the Braves just did to him before the All-Star break?
I understand.
They scored 16 runs a game.
I know. I don't think Sandy pitched in that series. Also, Ohtani didn't pitch in that series. Hey, the Phillies took the Braves out in 4 last year. It's the playoffs. The playoffs are a total crapshoot. Next thing you know, 5 days later, your season's over. It's like, what happened? We won 100-something games. We're 15 games better than these guys.
David, you're right. But the Braves are okay with playing
right now.
Anybody. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, and right now, just for what and giggles, the Marlins are the 4 seed. They're the number 1 wild card. The Dodgers and or Diamondbacks would be the 5 seed. For argument's sake, let's go Diamondbacks. Just think about it now if you're Miami. You're going to make the playoffs. You're going to beat the Diamondbacks in a best-of-3. So, and now you're through to the division series. And you're going to get the Braves. Because you'd play the 1. Winner of 4-5 plays the 1.
Hey, would be phenomenal. I know they're not even being mentioned for this.
Right. But believe it or not, they could do it. I mean, they really could. They have the prospects. They could do it. They could. They probably don't have the will to do it. Apparently the Rays are sniffing around. Hey,
and the Rays have the prospects and the players to pull it off.
Yeah, they do. At some point as a fan, don't you want your team to go for it? Yeah, there's no doubt it could set you back. And it could suck too, because you could get all the way to the World Series and lose the World Series and you don't come away with the brass ring and now your system is weakened. But you went for it, man.
And fans respect when their team goes for it.
By the way,
it buys a lot of goodwill, David.
By the way, think about that rotation. McClanahan's, he'll be back in 2 weeks. He's fine. They're taking a precaution here. How about that 1-2 punch, by the way? Righty, lefty. Ohtani, McClanahan. Best of 5.
And you're getting one of them twice.
And depending on days off, you could get them both. They could pitch 4 of the 5 games.
I'll take my chances with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, the Rays could also make the LCS without acquiring Ohtani. But, we talked about it, and we're going to talk about it with Steve Carney coming up here in 25 minutes. Some kinks in the armor here.
The Rays, despite their record, I don't know if anybody would say they're the odds-on favorite to represent the AL in the World Series. You get Ohtani, they become the odds-on favorite to represent the AL in the World Series.
Also, if apparently the Yankees, for what it's worth, are the most aggressive right now in pursuing Ohtani. I mean, does that make you, if you're the Rays, more aggressive? Kind of like, can't let him go to the Yankees. Because, well, if they'll play these guys. I mean, and in theory, if you're the Rays, you're thinking we're going to be the 1 seed. We're going to win the East. We're going to have the best record in the American League. But then we're probably going to end up playing the Yankees if they get Ohtani, they'll make the playoffs. They'll win their best of 3, and then we're going to have to see them. Ohtani and Garrett Cole at the top of a rotation, a best of 5. That'd be fun.
Lethal. Absolutely lethal.
By then, Judge should be back. How about that back-to-back? Line up Ohtani and Judge.
Dealing with 120 regular season home runs between the two of them.
Over the last 2 years, right? So, that's all.
So the poll question's up. If you were the Rays or Marlins, would you trade 4 prospects players to rent Ohtani for the rest of the season?
And it's not yes.
It's hell yes.
You know what? I'm liking the way you two are thinking. Because usually I'm the Yahoo that's like, oh, yeah, absolutely, got to do it.
Push your chips in.
All right. I like it. All right, it's a unanimous vote with this show then. Yeah, I'd do it. It's a prospect.
I just hope the Angels are willing to do it.
I think they are. Apparently everybody in baseball knows he's not re-signing with the Angels. Apparently are the last ones. Apparently Artie Moreno's just got to get over the whole psychological block of, I can't be the guy that traded Ohtani. Really? But you can be the guy who loses him for Bubkus?
You've got to trade him. If that's the case, there's just no reason to not trade him.
Now, I will say, though, when you trade Ohtani, Trout is then this offseason going to request a trade. I mean, he is. And, okay. I mean, because that'd be a Dame Lillard situation. How good have they been
with him?
Well, exactly. They made the playoffs once, got swept. All right. He's yet to win a playoff game in his, 11-year career? He's been injured the last couple of years, too. If you're the Angels, I'd trade him now where, one more injury plague season, his value goes way down. That could be a Dame Lillard situation because if he's not playing for the Angels, wants to go to the Phillies. I want to be traded, but I only want to be traded here. Remember, I'm a 10-5 guy. I do have veto power.
That would be fascinating to see if he would hold out to just trade to one team. But our question is, Ohtani to the Rays or Marlins, would you trade 4 players or prospects to rent them for the rest of the season? It's the poll question on Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I were the Rays, I'd be calling the Reds.
You'd be calling the Reds?
I'd get a bat from the Reds. They need a pitcher. You need a bat. They're crushing the baseball.
If I were the Rays,
I mean, there's bad teams I'd call too, but I'm just saying, I think you could do a good old-fashioned win-win trade with the Reds.
I think I'd call the Cardinals. GM just came out the other day and said we're selling players.
Right.
We're making trades. Well, I would say let's talk. Okay, listen, your other guys, we'll get to them in a second. Let's talk Goldschmidt and Arenado. Because that would be a bat.
Well,
now we're talking. So let's talk here. How serious are you? I mean, you saw their, they have the worst OPS from their cleanup hitter in baseball. The Rays do. Because Kevin Cash kept that low guy back and forth the whole year. But I'd call the Cardinals. I'd call the White Sox. I'd call the Rockies.
What are the Yankees going to have to give up to get Ohtani?
Oh, a lot. They're going to have to give up. They've got like 2 or 3 guys down in the system who are really highly thought of.
Like Volpe's back up there, like the guy that's the other Volpe. Would he be one?
They might have to give up Volpe.
Well, that's what I wondered.
Yeah. They might have to give up Volpe. Yeah. I don't think you're going to get Ohtani for like how the Suns got Bradley Beal, in which we all went, wait a minute, that's all they gave up for Bradley Beal?
Well, DC, like a guy who interests me from the White Sox right now is Lance Lynn. He's a contract up at the end of the year. He's a veteran. He gives you innings. All right. With the injuries that the Rays have to their pitching staff, the Rays, a guy who's going to pitch into the 7th, 10 straight starts, that interests me. Yes, Mongo. Very serious when you just type one word. Well, thank you, Mongo. Me too.
Me too.
We could talk about that. So the guy, when I went in, he goes, heard you complaining about the barium. He's a Steelers fan named Bruce.
We'll mix that in with the poll question results.
God, that stuff sucked. Golly.
Wasn't very Barry.
No, it was very
It was very
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Steve Carney to join us, a little more than 15 minutes time. But Elliott next hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So a few people reaching out in the Twitch chat room. I had talked yesterday about the reason that I am not in my home base of Jacksonville, and I'm in what was our longstanding home base in Southwest Florida, doing a show sitting next to Mark in the studio, is I had cancer a little over 3 years ago, had it surgically removed, but I kept my cancer docs. I didn't want to go get new doctors, even though I moved to Jacksonville. So I kept them in Southwest Florida. So at least twice a year, I come to Southwest Florida and I have my, scans and what have you. And so yesterday it was time to, do the scans. Well, I had to drink the barium.
Was it very berry?
No, it was very man, it's bad. It's not, when you eat something and you want to, unfortunately, throw it right back up bad, but it was one step away from that. And not only that, Mark, first off, they try to make it milky. Then they try to add flavors to it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And they said to me, what flavors do you want? And I looked right at the lady and said, are you serious? I go, come on. These aren't real flavors here. I go, you're basically trying to put a lipstick on a pig. That's just what I said to her. I go, come on, you're putting lipstick on a pig here. She said, well, what flavor lipstick do you want?
Good for her.
Exactly.
Good for her for having a little snark. When you're giving her, she didn't make this stuff up. You've got to drink it, and you're giving her a hard time.
I wasn't giving her a hard time, but I was giving her some editorial content.
Really?
So she gave it
That's
right
what
back
she
to me.
needed.
And I said, good for you. Don't put up with the customer's crap. We suck. She laughed. She said, what flavor do you want? And I said, give me the chocolate, whatever the heck you're calling it, because it ain't chocolate. And so, but it's room temperature.
Nothing quite like room temperature milk.
You got that right, which doesn't taste like milk, but is room temperature. 2 bottles of it, too.
How big are the bottles?
Oh, they're like 20 plus ounces.
Okay.
And you got to drink them in
so
like
a couple of tall boys is what you're telling
45 minutes each. You have to drink them in room temperature. Yeah, man. That's like when you go to Europe and the beer's not cold, and some people are fine with it and some people just can't handle it. I'm one of those that can't handle it. I know. I need my beer cold. I need my milk cold. This wasn't. So Bruce, the guy who actually, met me, said, hey, come on in. He listens to the show. He was listening to us yesterday talk about this, and he goes, how's the barium? I go, it sucked. Thanks. He's a Steelers fan. So, of course, immediately, here I am. I'm going to find out whether or not I've got cancer.
And he wants to know if Kenny Pickett's going to get the job done. You've been very high on the Steelers, David. If he's an avid listener, he knows your expectations are equal to his expectations.
He said, a year ago, I got you. And you told me that the Steelers weren't going to be very good. And I go, well, up until they won like their last 3 or 4, they weren't. He goes, no. I had you in my head the whole year. We're 3-7. I said, son of a gun, Moulton's finally right about something. I go, well, they finished 9-8, so technically I was wrong. He goes, nah, not making the playoffs. That's a bad year for us. So, right. So I got my Steelers pep talk with my barium, and then I took my tests, and, we'll find out next week.
What kind of fries did you get after? That's what I'm most concerned with, because our poll question yesterday was it was National French Fry Day, even though today is technically also National French Fry Day.
Because it's
Fry Day.
See what they did there?
And we put McDonald's, Five Guys, Arby's, Curly, and Felipe's Popeyes Cajun on there.
By the way, Felipe, did you go for a Popeyes Cajun run yesterday?
No.
What do you mean? No, you talked about it for 4 hours.
Well, I didn't work at the TV station yesterday.
Well, but you said I would drive 27 minutes out of my way to get these fries.
I'm saying I have done that in the past.
Okay. Will you do it? You're working tonight, right?
No. I work Saturday through Wednesday.
You going Saturday?
Maybe.
But McDonald's, in a miraculous comeback, took down Five Guys.
Oh, my goodness.
By reputation only. They are not the best fries.
So McDonald's won best fries.
It did.
My mother claimed that you are elitist when it comes to fries. She thinks Five Guys fries are elitist. I'm like, Mom, they're the greasiest things going. That's not elitist. I think, you know what she's thinking of? She's thinking of price because Five Guys ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
So,
No, it's not. But there's enough grease in there to take out any elitism that she may be speaking of.
Right. You could drown in it. Yes.
I'm a little offended.
You should be. I told her, I said, you know, just what do you mean elitist? I thought she lost her fast food card yesterday, calling Five Guys elitist. But anyway.
Maybe for a true fast food connoisseur, that is.
Right. So I'll see her.
Doesn't have a drive-through.
No, I'll see her next week. We'll argue about it in person. So McDonald's won the poll question. Our poll question today is, if you're the Rays or the Marlins, would you give up 4 prospects to rent Ohtani? Hell yes, and no way.
And right now it's 50-50. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com to vote.
Oh, I should really retweet that.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I'm not too worried about it. I really didn't expect you to. I talk as if you have, and that's really just to remind you to go ahead and get on that phone and start letting the thumbs do the work.
Okay, well, I'm doing it right now.
Good. Time for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, I don't know what the hell you have because nothing happened yesterday.
Boy, oh boy, it's really that time of the year where I go to this place, and we are going to the NBA Summer League, where you see overtime games in the NBA Summer League. They're decided by target scores, and the Mavericks' Braxton Key had a game-winning putback.
Off the screen from Perry. Davis finds Pajemski. Oh, rejected inside. Prosper the other way. Working on Santos. No. Braxton Key has won it. Dallas survives in Cox Pavilion.
Dallas survives? What is this? NCAA tournament? We moved to the semifinals of the MAC? I mean, what? Dallas survives? It's NBA Summer League. Oh.
But the Mavericks win a game that does not matter.
and that's all we got, huh?
This is the time you're supposed to spend with your family.
You know what, Felipe? Tell you what. Next year we'll do one of two things. Either A, we'll take this week off, okay, so we don't burden you this way, or we will give you this week off from the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Sounds great.
It'll be like, listen, we'll only do it 51 weeks of the year.
Either that, and what I would recommend, and I have a third option, is that, Felipe, you do this as your best of plays of the year. You start thinking of what plays of the day were the best ones, and you can have a best of week.
Yeah.
It's a lot of NBA Summer League, I can tell you that.
No.
Anything. Anything. Pickleball is better than NBA Summer League.
Whoa. There's a poll question.
Would you rather pickleball or NBA Summer League right now?
Pickleball was in the Sports Center top 10 plays of the day. Pickleball.
Mind you, there's Wimbledon going on right now.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to think a point from a women's semifinal would outrank a pickleball play of the day.
I'm putting it up. What would you rather watch? Pickleball, NBA Summer League. I need a poll question that gets votes.
So there you go. Our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K.
David, pickleball or NBA Summer League? What would you rather watch?
NBA Summer League. The whole pickleball thing is really nauseating to me. That as a country, that this is now becoming a thing.
Felipe, what would you rather watch? Because this sits you right square between the eyes. You are a self-proclaimed pickleball expert and the biggest NBA fan that I know.
Come on now. NBA Summer League. Easily. I don't watch live pickleball. I play live pickleball.
Super Joe in our Twitch chat room. First vote, pickleball. This could come back and bite us. It's really good. Now we got people going, hey, what about cornhole? David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know, why don't you let me win the Powerball? I'll give a bunch of money to Moulton. We'll call it a day.
How much is a bunch?
A bunch.
So it's funny. So Julie and I were having this conversation. All right. About, it's, I don't know, it was like 500 million, something like that. And I go, let's just say we're going to take a lump sum. It was like 5 and change. I go, let's just say we get 300.
By the way, it's 560 right now. 281's the payout.
281's the payout.
What right. It says. So half.
So let's just say it's 250. And we were having the conversation. We said, okay, how would we do it? I go, because by the way, you get a slush fund and I get a slush fund. Okay, so we have to figure out, how much money is that? and Julie is like, well, how about 5 million? I go, that's not enough. I go, no, slush fund's got to be bigger than that. I go, no, we're talking about money in which you can do whatever you want. This is like, you can go sleep with whomever you want. This is your list here. I go, I'm thinking gotta be at least 10 million bucks. Okay, you can do whatever you want. I can go to Vegas if I want. Right? And so we started talking about, okay, how much we giving away to people? Who we giving money to? Okay. And then, and my thought was that I'd have to give you like 2 million. Okay,
works for me.
That. First off, and then investigate, are there tax ramifications if you give somebody that much money, or
right.
Can I literally just stroke you a check? If I Venmo it to you, are we good?
If I Venmo.
but just in terms of, okay, in theory, enough money where he doesn't have to work again. They can pay off all their current debts. Okay. So that the house is paid off, college is taken care of.
Right.
And you don't have to work anymore. You can if you want, but the show's done, obviously.
Right.
Okay. And I was thinking it had to be probably at least 1.5. And that was if no taxes came out, was what I thought. And I said, to be safe, it'd probably have to be 2. And she looked at me and I said, well, mortgage. I go, you want it so that they can just pay everything.
Right.
Okay. And then they've got this to live on so that in theory, they don't have to, And I said, understanding their dynamic a little bit, I go, he would not want to work and she may want to do 2 to 3 days a week.
She's actually she's went from 4 days to 3 days.
Okay.
Which we'll see when that starts affecting the paycheck, if that
Sure.
can survive. But she's also looked at, they have a company called Lap of Love that they do in-house euthanasias. She's doing a ride along with them on Friday. She may do that 1 day a week. Part-time to make up a little bit of it. Where am I getting a new membership if I win the Powerball? That's a great question. I'd stay at my club here just because I like the people. But it would be somewhere in the Carolinas. I can tell you that right now. If I had that kind of money, I'd have a place somewhere in the mountains of North Carolina.
Right, Paul.
Or I really like that Deep Creek, Maryland was pretty nice.
Steve's on hold. We're back in 15.
All right. Thank you. You're struggling today. You are struggling today. You are
Self-inflicted.
tired.
You drank, didn't you?
Yeah, you're
No,
tired.
I didn't. I
No,
swear.
you're out partying with the young lady, were you? Huh? Up late?
No.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Bud Elliott will join us to talk college football 1 hour from now. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Steve Carney, kind enough to join us once again. He's got a website which covers the Rays. It's called stpete9.com. That's 9 spelled out, stpete9.com. He also hosts the Under the Orange Roof podcast. And Steve is very easy to follow on Twitter. It's Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, David, and Mark, hope the All-Star break treated you well. How are you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I can't. Oh, so if I don't hit the keys there.
That's okay.
It's the first time that I've had 3 days off in I can't tell you how long.
Well, that's awesome.
It's been a long time.
Well, that is awesome. Listen, answer our poll question. All right. And our poll question is, if you're the Rays or Marlins, would you give up 4 prospects to rent Ohtani?
I would give up 4, but I think it's going to take more than 4 to rent Ohtani, unfortunately. I think that the number is probably 6.
Okay. Then same question. If you're the Rays, would you give up 6 prospects to rent Ohtani for the rest of the year?
No. That's an easy one for me. Mostly because I am so hesitant to give up the entire farm to rent Ohtani, knowing that I have no shot at re-signing him next year.
Well, there's no question about that, and the Marlins certainly wouldn't as well. But the Rays obviously trying to win that final game of the year for the first time. All right, which Rays team is closer to what you believe the Rays to be? The March 30th to May 31st Rays, or the June 1st to July 9th Rays? Which team do you think is closer to the median?
I personally think that the team that started out so quickly is the team that this team is more like, because I don't feel that you look at what went on the last couple of weeks with this team. Nobody was hitting. They were having all sorts of problems with the pitching staff, And that's not the team that I see from this club. I see a team. Are they going to be the team that's going to win 13 in a row and seems like everybody is hitting home runs and every move that Kevin Cash makes is perfect? No, but I certainly think they're a lot closer to that team talent-wise than they are to the team that was struggling down the stretch and going 1-5 in their last homestand and losing 7 in a row and seemed like nothing worked for that club. They're much more talented than that club. Now, that being said, I think that injury is a big reason why they turned into that club, and hopefully they can get a little healthier. Unfortunately, one of the pieces that they're not going to get back now is Drew Rasmussen.
All right. What do they need to go get then? You've been talking a long time, and we've had you on about a little bit of bullpen help, but do they need to go get a bat as well, Steve?
I don't think a bat would hurt. The question then becomes, which bats are available and which bats fit with them. And you think about it, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what sort of bats would be available. I wouldn't mind seeing one more right-handed corner outfield bat. I think that might be a decent one, something that you can put in right field as kind of a Manuel Margot replacement. Maybe an upgrade to Manuel Margot, but that's about it. I think they pretty much have almost everything locked down otherwise.
So would you want somebody fairly prominent, or would you be willing to rent like a Tommy Pham, who's having a good year with the Mets?
Yeah, Tommy Pham is an interesting name that you bring up because of Tommy's time here in Tampa Bay. He has said that he loved playing for the Rays. We know that he made a couple of comments early on when he first got here about the lack of fan support, but he quickly realized that the fans that did show up to Tropicana Field at that time were loud and they were passionate and they loved him. So I think Tommy Pham is the right name that you have. And if I was going to go out and get somebody, it would probably be him.
Steve Carney, kind enough to join us once again, talking about the Rays. Follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney.
You've got not only the Mets, but you got the Padres, you got the Cardinals, you got a lot of sellers out there. Is it possible they could swing bigger than a Tommy Pham?
I think that they're going to look at some. I don't think they're going to look much larger than Tommy Pham. I think it could, but the question is how much more are some of these other teams going to ask? I mean, it's not like they're going to go out there and get Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt from St. Louis. Could they get Tyler O'Neill or Tommy Edman? Maybe, but I think that they're comfortable. They would be comfortable with Tommy Pham, and they know what they're going to get out of Tommy, and I think that comfort level, I think, speaks a lot about this front office.
Steve, to us, we think they have a clear hole in the lineup, and whether it's second base or whether it's just the 4 spot in the batting order, they have the worst OPS amongst cleanup hitters in all of baseball. Over 300 points behind the Braves, by the way. But, I mean, they're getting a 649 OPS out of the 4 hole. And that's why, to us, we've been like you, pounding the table, get another bullpen arm. I'm wondering if for the stretch run, if they need a bat.
Yeah, and I think getting Brandon Lau back, and seeing how a healthy Brandon Lau could help would revitalize that. They're going to have 2 weeks to figure out, if Brandon Lau is the answer. And thankfully they've got those 2 weeks to figure that out. And I think that's going to be the big piece for them, because if Brandon Lau's not the answer, I'm not quite sure they have that answer in-house. And that might be the piece that they end up going after.
Boy, are you sure you want to go and try to win a World Series with Brandon Lau? I mean, he's hitting 209. I mean, do we think that's all injuries? I mean, he has been a black hole in that lineup this year.
Yeah, but he has also proven at the big league level he can hit 40 homers and drive in 100. So I think they have to. Plus, they signed him to the long-term deal, so they're going to give him every chance possible.
He's Steve Carney, stpete9.com, stpete9.com, Under the Orange Roof podcast. Hey, what's this story we're hearing about funding for the Rays deal in St. Pete now may be tied up because they need money, does the county, for sand on the beaches, and that may come before the Rays?
Yeah, there's a couple of pieces that are out there that are going to, I guess they're going to be competing for the same dollars. Whether it's the sand or the Philadelphia Phillies spring training facility in Clearwater, there are going to be other projects that are competing for these same dollars, and it's going to be up to the Pinellas County, the government, the local government in the county, as well as the city of St. Petersburg, that are all going to be competing for a lot of these same dollars. I have a feeling that when all is said and done, I think that the money is going to end up with the Rays. But right now, it does make for some interesting reading for sure, and maybe for some chewed fingernails.
Any word about a possible Tampa investor or site, or is this St. Peter nothing right now?
Right now, I still think it's St. Peter nothing. I know that Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagan has talked a good game, and he says that they are perilously close to making an unveiling for the city of Tampa. But honestly, I think that they are perilously close to being shut out. So I think that this has been great talk from the city of Tampa, but unfortunately there hasn't been any action, and they're getting so far behind that I think it's nearly impossible for them to catch up.
Well, and Rob Manfred has basically put him on the clock and said, I expect something significant by the end of the year. And we've done the construction math. If you figure they got about 4 years from now, basically, to get a stadium done, figure it'd take 3 years to build. You got to get a shovel in the ground here pretty soon. He's Steve Carney, stpete9.com, covers the Rays thoroughly. He also hosts the Under the Orange Roof podcast. Follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, get back to work.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Steve Carney, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. So we'd be a lot bolder. Yeah, he's going Tommy Pham. We're going Ohtani.
Well, but even if it's not Ohtani, if that's not a possibility and it's 6 prospects and they rule that that's too much, I'd still be looking at what else the Mets may be willing to sell, what the Padres may be willing to sell, what the Cardinals may be willing to sell.
And right now, neither the Padres nor the Mets want to sell. But let's be honest, they got 2.5 weeks to get something going. The Mets have to play .667 baseball realistically to make the playoffs. They have to win 2 out of every 3. They have 72 games left. If they go 48-24, they'll post 90 wins. Right now, you have to figure you need 90 in the National League. The top part of the National League is better this year than it was last year. The Phillies kind of got in with 87. Right now, you can't count on that. Like if the Marlins play 500 ball the rest of the way, what's that, 88? I don't know. I don't know if that'll be good enough. Because right now, either the Giants or the Phillies are out. Well, I think the Phillies are going to get to at least 88. I do.
Not so sure about the Giants, but I do think that someone, and you can't discount. It's to the point now where you can't discount the Reds and or Brewers because they're both have been playing good enough baseball long enough that you can't just say run differential or whatever you want to say that they're not good enough because they're there and they're playing in a bad division. They still get those games, albeit not as many as in years past. Their schedule is a little more favorable.
Very much so. And so, like you said, hey, for a month now, you go, don't discount the second place team in the Central. And I said, come on, Mark, second place team in the Central is not going to get a wild card. You're looking more right than I am right now. It's more viable right now than it's not. So, but I mean, think about that. And the Mets start off the second half. I think they got a series against the Dodgers. They got a couple of tough series here. And if the Mets don't play really well right away, they're going to sell. They got two top prospects who are sitting at AAA who are, they're dying to put in the lineup. They're going to sell Jeff McNeil, who won the batting title last year. They'll eat his contract to get something for him. They'll sell Tommy Pham. They might sell David Robertson, who's a back end of the bullpen guy. I mean, the Mets have pieces they can sell here. And they've already shown Cohen's willing to eat contracts to get better prospects to fortify his system. That's why I think the Rays could get really creative here. They could get Pham and McNeil, put McNeil at second if Lowe doesn't do anything here, and put Pham in the outfield. I think they get a 2-for-1 from the Mets, and the Mets would eat the salary. Rays would have to give them good young pitching on the farm. Okay, but I think the Mets would eat the salary for him.
And that's right up the alley of the Rays.
Yeah. Now, I will say the Rays have been giving up some pitching here, and then they've had some injuries to pitching. Their pitching's thinner than it's been in a long time because of the injuries. But I'm just saying, there's deals that never mind the Padres. I mean, hell, the Padres got Soto a year ago at this time, and they rented him for 2.5 years. Well, now he's got a year and a half left. They may trade him again. They may just say, well, we rented him for a year. We gave it a shot. It's not working. We tried to negotiate a deal with him. We offered him $400 million. He said no. Why don't we trade him now? Did you hear the story? He flew to the Padres are starting the second half in Philadelphia. Soto flew on the Phillies team plane to Philly. They said, hey, you're coming. Well, why don't you come with us? And so now there's all sorts of talk about that might not be the last time this year he's on the Phillies team plane.
Wow. And expect Philly to be aggressive.
Sure.
They're at a window right now where it's a win now.
Well, also, Mark, who's their president and general manager? Dave Dombrowski.
Not afraid to make a move.
At all. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And my grandma grew up in a Democratic household, but she changed with Reagan. So did my grandfather. And then they pretty much, I think, voted Republican the rest of their lives. And so, I said, well, Grandma, John McCain, war hero. This was a year after grandfather had died, too. I go, grandfather's generation. Okay. And she said, he's too old. And I go, Grandma. And she goes, hey, you know anything about being 70-something years old? She goes, I do. Trust me, he's too old. I went, whoa. Isn't Trump 77 too?
Yeah, I think so.
Compared to the
Right.
other guy, he doesn't look it, but and the colored hair and the the orange face and all that. But if you put the two of them side by side and say they're only 3 years apart,
Right. Felipe, apparently we're off 1070 again. Did you talk to them yesterday?
I sent this guy a text. I didn't get a response.
Okay, you're going to need to call him today and find out what's going on, if you could.
I'll call him.
Actually, do you have their number? I'll call.
Oh.
No, seriously, this is bullshit. What's going on? We need a name. Give me a name and a number.
It says the last 24 hours on and off, mostly off. Station's problem, not you, is what I'm getting from a texter.
Oh, okay.
But we need to find out what's going on.
Yeah. Also, it's not the only time in like the last couple of weeks that we've heard. So need to,
And probably
that's
needed to
important.
do it more as an affiliate. Really, hey, how you doing?
yeah. Hey, we're hearing there are issues. What's going on? Is it us? Is something we need? Because I just want to make sure we're not getting dropped. We shouldn't be. I'm told they sell the show out. Oh, Hops, there's no doubt about it. The show's better in the studio. Yeah.
Especially when there's no real content,
Right.
like right now.
Like during football season, we could be 5 time zones away and the show's fine.
Hell, you could be in a random hotel anywhere, whatever game you have.
Look at him.
Seattle,
Look at Felipe over there. Ah, hell, you could be in Greenland.
Buffalo.
Hello. We go to Buffalo this year.
Nice. It really is a shame that the DeMar Hamlin thing happened because I was so excited for that game.
Oh, I know.
Oh my gosh. It had the
Yeah, it was a
energy
big game. Buffalo
of,
was the 1 seed at the time. They needed it to hold off Kansas City.
that could have been like one of the greater Monday night games ever.
well,
Stop.
Are you kidding me?
One of the greatest. But Cincinnati was kicking their ass. Game was.
It was
Okay, I say they're going to kick your ass, and you correct me, and you just said it's going to be one of the greatest games ever.
No, I said it could
no.
have been.
Right, could have been one of the greatest games ever.
No,
Shut up.
I said greatest Monday night games ever.
Shut up.
It's true.
Shut up.
It's true. Sorry.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Oh, the energy during the commercial break was intense. I like it. Who says it's the final hour of our week along the network? Got Mark and Felipe yelling at each other during the break. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Finishing the week strong, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Bud Elliott to join us in a little more than 35 minutes. Bud will be a regular once again during the football season, talking college football. Speaking of football, magic numbers 43, 48, 55. Week 0, 43 days away in college. Week 1, 48 days away. Lions and Chiefs, 55 days away. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Hey, want to talk a little football?
Yes.
Okay. First off, if you didn't hear it earlier, the ACC moving some of their football and basketball games to the CW.
Following Live Golf, we'll have Wake Forest taking on Syracuse.
It's games that were through Raycom that got moved to Bally's regional cable systems throughout the Southeast. And so now these games will be, quote unquote, national.
Live Golf coming up right after Duke and Boston College here on the CW.
Is this going to be like Pat Summerall when he had to do those awkward reads after he went to Fox? You know, it was one of the best things when they did the Madden documentary. They got into Summerall doing the reads and how it became an inside joke between the crew. And that's Murder, She Wrote, and that apparently Summerall would pause, that the pause, he would go murder because it had a comma in its title.
Right.
Murder, She Wrote. All right. And that became like the inside joke in the broadcast. How long could Summerall pause while doing the 60 minutes followed by Murder, She Wrote? And apparently Madden lost it every time. Like John was useless for like 10 seconds every time Summerall did the read. So one thing to throw out there, and we know that there are 4 of you that have actually watched Live on CW. It's not in HD. And if they're going to try to, because it looks as if this network has said, well, about
what?
It's not. I'm pretty sure.
What?
I am pretty sure. I know it wasn't last year, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed. I don't believe the CW is in HD. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But that is something, if you're going to try to become a player here, you got to change that. All right. I watched some LIV earlier this year. It was not in HD. Now, maybe that's changed. I mean, you can change it pretty quickly. I'm just throwing that out there. If I'm wrong, I apologize. You know, like I said, there's only 4 people out there who could hold me to this. But one other football note. And yeah, it's one of my things. So the Pro Football Hall of Fame Veterans Committee announced their list of semifinalists. Now, this is the veterans. All right. This isn't the,
right.
You know, so now these are guys who their 15 plus years have come and gone and they're no longer eligible to, 2. Right?
2 of these guys, right?
Right.
I mean,
they're
this
25.
Right. Out of this list, they will whittle it down to the finalist, and then 2 will get in.
Correct. Okay, so right, we go semifinals to finals. 25 usually then goes to 15. Of the 15, they will push 2 names forward. I will go through this very quickly. We all mentally, like, think of the people, if this list were in front of you, you'd put a check mark next to going, oh, yeah, I'd seriously consider that person for the Hall of Fame. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that in theory, you're whittling this semifinal list down to your finalists. Ken Anderson, longtime Bengals quarterback. There's a big push to get him in the Hall of Fame.
Huge push.
Otis Anderson. You may remember him as O.J. Anderson. He was Rookie of the Year with the Cardinals, and then 11 years later, Super Bowl MVP with the Giants when they beat the Bills. Carl Banks. Maxie Baughan. Larry Brown, the Cowboys corner who was MVP of a Super Bowl. Mark Clayton, first time, by the way, nominated as a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Think of Mark Clayton in today's era. Think of Duper and Clayton playing. I mean, they put up the numbers they put up in the 80s. Now, granted, they had pretty damn good quarterback.
They had this guy
Right.
that I think could throw it pretty well.
But imagine if we were calling passes the way we called them now. Charlie Connerly, Roger Craig, Henry Ellard. When Ellard retired, he was like top 5, top 7 on every major receiving category. Catches, yards, touchdowns. Now those numbers are not what they were. But when he retired, you thought, oh, that's a Hall of Famer. Now that years have gone by, Randy Gradishar of the Broncos. A lot of people stunned he's not in the Hall of Fame. Lester Hayes, Stickum guy, corner for the Raiders. A lot of people stunned he's not in the Hall of Fame. Chris Hinton, probably not a Hall of Famer. Do you know what his claim to fame is? He was the player traded for Elway. Elway went 1 to the Colts. Chris Hinton went 4 to the Broncos. When the Colts and the Broncos made the trade about a month later, Chris Hinton in a first-round pick went from Denver to Baltimore. And Elway went to the Broncos. Cecil Isbell, I don't know who that is. Joe Jacoby. A lot of people stunned he's not in the Hall of Fame. Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Yeah, not a Hall of Famer.
Mike Ken, your buddy.
Met Mike several times. Think the world of him. He's a great dude. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer.
And he may be, I don't know. He should be a Falcons Ring of Honor guy.
Absolutely.
I mean, like 15 years, never missed a game.
Absolutely.
At left tackle. He definitely should be a Falcons Ring of Honor guy if he's not already. The late Bob Kuechenberg, you know how much that bothers me. He's not in. The two guys I wanted in the Hall of Fame for the longest time, both have now passed. One finally got in this year. It's Ken Riley of the Bengals. I mean, how could you be 5th all-time in interceptions and not make the Hall of Fame while you're alive? How could you have 65 interceptions and not live to see yourself go into the Hall of Fame? Seriously? What the heck? In an era in which they didn't throw the ball, and you have 65 interceptions, and they don't put you in the Hall of Fame. What the heck? Kuechenberg, all-pro at guard, tackle, and center, by the way. Part of the great running Dolphins teams of the early 70s, and then blocked for Marino, in the early to mid-80s. Very versatile lineman. George Coons, Albert Lewis, Jim Marshall is not in the Hall of Fame.
When I saw the list and saw his name, I just, an assumption by me, I'm like, he's a Hall of Famer.
Games played alone, right? Along with, you know who's next on the list alphabetically? Clay Matthews, Jr. Really?
Those were the two that grabbed my eye the most.
Steve McMichael then is next. How about just the M's? Jim Marshall, Clay Matthews, Steve McMichael. Eddie Metter, Stanley Morgan, longtime Patriots wide receiver. I can't believe Tommy Nobis is not in the Hall of Fame. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame, legendary middle linebacker. His claim to fame in college was Texas-Alabama Orange Bowl for a national title. Nobis stopped Namath on a quarterback sneak for a goal line stand, and they won 15-14. Art Powell, Sterling Sharp. Big push to get Sterling in because he clearly would have been in if injuries didn't cut his career short. And I do ask the question, if Terrell Davis is in as a running back, I mean, he really had 3 years, 96, 97, 98. Blew out his knee early in 99 and basically never played again. If Terrell Davis got in for 3 exceptional years, well, Sterling Sharp had like 6. How's he not in? Is it because TD has 2 rings and Sharp doesn't? Only has the 1? Steve Tasker. Big push to get a special teamer.
There was always a lot of push for Tasker being the special teams guy.
Otis Taylor, it would surprise me he's not in the Hall of Fame, legendary Chiefs wide receiver, scored a touchdown in Super Bowl IV, perennial All-Pro, old AFL into the NFL. Everson Walls, like 6th or 7th all-time in interceptions, led the league in interceptions 2 or 3 times. I think at double-digit interceptions 3 times in his career. And then in his 30s was a starting corner on the Giants team that beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. See, I'd vote, and it has nothing to do with him playing a couple years with the Giants. I would vote Everson Walls' career as a Hall of Fame career at corner. And you could beat Everson Walls. You could. He was not the fastest guy. You could double move Everson Walls. People threw at him a lot. That's why he got 60-plus interceptions. But I think he's a Hall of Famer. And Al Wistert, an old-timer, who I don't know anything about. That's just the semifinalist list. How many names did we just throw out there in which you thought to yourself, damn?
At least 6. At least 6.
And my list might be like 8. So obviously they'll put forward, usually 25 gets whittled down to 15, and then 15 becomes 2. So maybe 25 will be 10.
25 becomes 5 or 10 for the
veterans.
For the veterans. The other list goes 25 to 15, but regardless, that's still a tough list to whittle through.
There's some really good players, aren't they? But obviously Hall of Fame versus just what we talk about, because they all are Ring of Honor guys, right? For their respective
teams, that every one of them.
And then the next leap's big one. I'm with you like on Mike Ken. I don't think of Mike Ken as a Hall of Famer. Okay. But I definitely think of him as a Ring of Honor guy.
And he is. But that next step is a gigantic one.
And it should be, right?
Yes. And that's why you and I think I speak for both of us, that we hold the Pro Football Hall of Fame in more high regard than we do the others because of the way that they induct players.
Like, there are very few players in baseball in which we go, can't believe they're in the Hall of Fame. Like Schilling, and if you take the steroid guys out, it's Dale Murphy and Kurt Schilling are probably right now the big 2 in which you go, how in the world are they not in the Hall of Fame? And the rest of the guys are all impacted by steroids. In football, there's like 25 guys that we go, how is so-and-so not in the Hall of Fame?
And that's after the committee put in with the anniversary class, that huge class a couple of years ago, to try to rectify some of their errors.
So, but Mark Clayton, for the first time, a semifinalist and still far away from getting in the Hall of Fame. Miller and Moulton. We mentioned Bud Elliott. He's coming up now, about 25 minutes from now. College football season, about 6 or so weeks away.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Pickleball's beating the summer league right now.
Tried to warn you.
Like I said to David, this is just pure, uneviscerated hate towards the NBA.
You know, it makes me so mad because,
Because why? The summer league's an enjoyable product?
like, why the City of Palms Classic here then? If no one likes basketball,
No. See,
it's the NBA. It's the NBA.
you're
not
not
college basketball.
they don't hate basketball. They hate the NBA. And I mean they hate the NBA.
It's true. They don't come because they're going to be in the NBA. They come because they're going to go to their university. Oh, I want to watch whoever Indiana's.
They don't,
getting.
but they don't come to. I mean, I don't think there's nobody at that tournament until the semifinals and finals. When
True, but a lot of people go to that tournament wearing like whatever college they root for. Like, there's a few like UConn guys, or like I don't know, NC State fans.
Getting a text from someone that says Larry Brown was on the list, played running back for the Redskins in the 70s.
Oh, okay. It's a different Larry Brown then. That is true. If it's that Larry Brown.
Okay. That's what.
I'll correct myself then. That's my bad.
And I've got that Warren Sharp list here if we want to do
Good.
anything with that.
Good.
I think we'll have Gary either next week or the week after. He's going to SEC and Big Ten Media Days. So I don't know whether to get him before he goes or after he goes.
After.
So maybe, by the end of the month type deal.
Does he get his own table where they interview him, or does he have to?
Do you know, I made all the arrangements for him at SEC Media Days. I set up all the interviews for him. So he's going to go from table to table. He's got a sheet. I lined them all up for him.
Of who's interviewing him?
Who's interviewing him. So he's going to do 10 just in one day. Boom. Going to show up, like 7 to 2. It's going to be there. I give him 2-hour breaks. It's like 3 in a row, hour break, 3 in a row, hour break, 4 in a row, goes to the airport. Big Ten, he's going to be there like 3 days, I think, at least 2. But CBS, making a big deal of the Big Ten.
So I guess I had no idea that my Clay Matthews was the third Clay Matthews to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What a family.
Right. If you thought your Clay Matthews was good, his dad played almost twice as long.
Damn. My Clay Matthews.
Didn't
was
grandfather
good.
and great uncle, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's like 4 Matthews.
There's
who played.
4 Matthews. Right. Like the grandfather's brother played 2, I think. I think I've got that right.
And did they all play defense?
Well, wait. Are they related to Bruce Matthews? Okay, because he was the tackle. Tackle with Houston.
There's never been a There's never been a father-son combo in the NFL, has there? Or like playing at the same time?
God, no.
At the same time,
No.
I don't believe so. No,
Like a
because
Ken
I think
Griffey
the only
situation.
chance would have right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched episode 2. A lot of wife. It was set up a little differently. They did all on Mahomes, and they did the whole, like, it didn't go back and forth. It was just 3 episodes almost within an episode.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 21 minutes past the hour. But Elliott to join us a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 2 poll questions.
Yeah, one's up on flsportsnetwork.com. The other one, because I can control both accounts, and I threw it up on my account.
Okay.
And the second one, much more important.
The first one is, if you're the Rays and the Marlins, should you mortgage the farm here? Should you give up 4 prospects? We put the number at 4, even though Steve Carney last hour thinks the number is going to be closer to 6. Should you give up 4 prospects to rent Ohtani? Hell yes, no way.
Yeah,
whatever.
Voting on that's going along, whatever.
Okay. What's the important poll question?
What would you rather watch, pickleball or NBA Summer League? Now, Drew just answered with, I refuse to vote. That's fine. But those that are voting, 61% of you have picked pickleball.
Felipe is in the corner crying in the fetal position that his beloved NBA can't beat pickleball. Tried to tell you. All right. There's along the west coast of Florida. All right. There's a strong anti-NBA sentiment.
And the other votes, 55-45 in the hell yes category for Ohtani.
Okay.
The votes are half of what the pickleball NBA, and I put that poll up 14 seconds ago.
I do want to make a correction. We just did a segment talking about the Veterans Committee, and they've nominated 25 guys for the Hall of Fame. That'll get whittled down. Eventually, only 2 will be put forward as candidates to be voted on to get into the Hall. And Larry Brown is one of the candidates. And I thought it was the Larry Brown, the cornerback for the Cowboys, who had the 2 interceptions in the Super Bowl, and it was Super Bowl MVP, the Cowboys' last Super Bowl championship. Turns out it's Larry Brown, the former Redskins running back. He played his whole career with the Redskins and was their featured back when they lost Super Bowl 7 to the Dolphins. And he's probably not a Hall of Famer. Average less than 4 yards a carry, rushed for about 6,000 yards. His first 5 years of his career, Mark, he actually would have been a Hall of Famer. He averaged 1,000 yards a year, and they only played 14 games then. That 5,000 yards in 5 years, impressive yards per carry and what have you. But then he hit a wall, and he was out of the league before he was 30. So, but it was that Larry Brown. My apologies.
All right. Well, I've got a list in front of me as well. This one more current than the list you were going through.
Okay.
Warren Sharp, who you and I both think does a really good job of analyzing football. It's a lot of data, a lot of analytics, but he's been doing this a long time, and we think he's pretty sharp. Not just the last name. But he listed and ranked the NFL's best offensive lines heading into the season. And there was one part of the ranking that caught me as interesting. 21 through 24, down at the bottom end. In order, 21 through 24 are the Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, and Jets.
So the whole AFC East.
Not one ranked in the top 20 of offensive lines.
Huh. Do you take the Bills seriously then as Super Bowl contenders if Warren Sharp is correct and their offensive line is only the 21st best in the league? Does Josh Allen's talent overcome that?
it's going to have to. But I don't think it's, that would scare me if I'm looking at teams to win a Super Bowl. That would scare me.
Well, say he's right about the Jets. They're in the bottom 25% of the league then, in terms of offensive line play. But now they have number 12. Who's not going to wear number 12, but, they've got Aaron Rodgers. That's a little different animal there. Reads defenses incredibly quickly, gets rid of the ball incredibly quickly. How good was his offensive line the last couple of years in Green Bay? And yet he still looked pretty damn good.
And then there's the Dolphins at 23.
Yep.
With a quarterback that gets hit a lot. And although the jiu-jitsu may have worked really well in him taking a fall, this is predicting he'll take a lot of falls again. The other one that's on the list that would have me concerned if I were a fan of this team is the Jags.
Yeah.
He has the Jags listed 28th.
Well, that's not good. Fortunately, they play in the second worst division in the league.
But if you're predicting Super Bowls or long runs, or as we've even talked about, because of the division and the schedule, the opportunity to get a 1 seed. Ugh.
Giants at 27 also. Remember, they got 2 high first-round picks as their bookend tackles. They just drafted their center in the second round, the kid from Minnesota. If that's the 6th worst offensive line in the league, that means that the Giants have missed in the draft. Bucks, 4th worst offensive line in the league, according to Warren Sharp. The Commanders with the 3rd worst offensive line in front of Sam Howell with 1 career start, a 5th-round pick. That seems to be a bad combination if Warren Sharp is right.
And for those of you that thought that the Rams were maybe going to rebound with a healthy Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, they've got the Rams offensive line ranked 31st. Or he has the Rams offensive line ranked 31st.
And the Titans at 32nd. Maybe everybody needs to back off Ryan Tannehill. And maybe we need to hold Derrick Henry in a little higher regard for him to be able to do what he's doing if the line's that bad.
Your top 10 in order are the Eagles, number 1. The Lions, number 2.
Remember when Mark Schlereth did the game, or was it week 1 last year?
Week 1.
Eagles, Lions, and he said these might be the 2 best offensive lines in the league, and people gave him a lot of grief. Former offensive lineman, by the way, he was a part of 3 Super Bowl champions. I'd like to think he could get the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Ravens are 3. Chiefs are 4. Browns are 5.
Browns are 5.
Right.
Huh?
The Packers are 6.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
All right, but it's interesting because everybody's put them in 3rd or 4th in that division. The Broncos are 7, which I find fascinating. If they're right about that, if he's right about that line, obviously with Peyton there and trying to get Russ back on the right side of things, he's got the right line to do it. Cowboys 8, Falcons 9, Vikings 10. Those are your top 10.
All right. My understanding from people who have watched this Netflix quarterback series, that they've binged watched it, is that people have a greater appreciation of Kirk Cousins because apparently it details how he got the absolute tar kicked out of him last year behind that line, which has been their weakness for the last, the defense fell apart last year, but before that, their offensive line wasn't good enough. You could get pressure on Cousins. So for him to have, and we like Warren Sharp, he's very analytical, but we believe most of what he produces. I don't know if I can buy that the Vikings have the 10th best offensive line. You find one Vikings fan who thinks they have a top 10 offensive line. I'll give you $100. One. That one seems like a stretch to me.
Well, the Packers seems like a stretch to me as well at 6.
Is Bakhtiari healthy? Are we sure?
When's the last time he's been healthy?
And not the last 2 years. What if they're right on the Bengals up to 13th? 2 years ago, they'd be bottom 5.
Top half. That's good enough to win a Super Bowl, David, with the Joe Burrow. Just letting you know.
Somebody I know picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. You know who that person is?
It's all because Burrow's not a Swiftie. Now I've got offensive line data to back it up.
By the way, also is the Bears' offensive line is 16th. I don't know. That seems a little high to me. Bud Elliott's next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Did you ever make any contact with the Sebring ones that you thought was going to be the easiest station to?
Yeah.
No interest?
They're also, I have to admit, I don't think they take it very seriously. It sounds as if that they, just flip the switch and what have you. But I talked with them Tuesday, and they're also kind of like, yeah, this ain't working for us. But see, they don't take. I said, they said, how will we get your show? And I said, taking a feed from Westwood One, and they said, yeah, we don't, we don't carry any Westwood One. And I go, well, it doesn't mean you can't get our feed, though. I go, it's not much more difficult than getting the ESPN feed. I go, do you need me to have an engineer call you and talk to your people? And they said something to the effect of, yeah, we might have to do that.
That Albert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would do it.
He would do it.
Right.
He's good, and he works in this company, but works for Marty. He would.
Right. So,
the other thing, the other thing I'd like to do,
local.
I'd like to reach out to that morning guy in Michigan,
mm-hmm.
and just say, would you consider changing your clock to ours? Would benefit both of us to have a backup to do the show in times that we're not there.
Well, I have to admit, I think if we add 2 to 3 affiliates, then we're going to have to get fill-ins. Because I wouldn't want to. We're really going to air a Michigan sports show, and
right.
I just think at that point, if we're in Orlando, which is considering us, because an ESPN started up shop there like 4 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they have no local. By the way, where's Bud?
Curious.
Okay.
Hi, Bud.
Guys.
Sorry about that. I got David in studio. I didn't even think about sending things out this morning.
No problem
you're
at all.
No Bud Elliott 3?
No, he's Instagram Bud Elliott.
That's the Instagram Bud Elliott 3.
He is all ready for Threads. He is just prepared.
Gotcha.
Oh boy.
I grabbed my name on Threads, and then I'm like, are we really doing something with are we Threads people? I don't know.
We're coming back now.
How long do you think it'll take me to get up to date on that?
I don't know anybody using it. So.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
This guy booked himself on this show. So we had to have him on. Bud Elliott. Outstanding covering college football, whether it be for 24/7 Sports, 2 great podcasts, Nolecast and Cover 3. You can follow him on Twitter, Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, 3, Bud Elliott 3. Listen, you're up there now with, Danielson, Kerwin, Sampson. If you're booking yourself on this show, you're big. That's all I got to say.
They book themselves? Look at that.
Whenever they call and want to be on, they're on.
Look at that. Love it.
All right. I'm not starting with football. I'm starting with our poll question with you. As those watching on Twitter see Bud proudly with his Tampa Bay Rays hat on, and Ohtani, at least there is a story out there that perhaps the Rays are interested in acquiring Ohtani for a rental. Would you give up 4 prospects to rent Ohtani for the rest of the year? Because you're not signing him long-term.
4 prospects.
4. And we just had Steve Carney on, who covers the Rays daily. He thinks it's more like 6 prospects.
But would you give up 4?
I think you have to, because the Rays just invent prospects anyways, right? We trade for the guys you don't want, and then we're like, oh, this guy has a seam shifted wake of 1.147 or whatever. We're going to take and turn that into a 2.0 ERA, and it's much harder for us to create Ohtani in a lab, although he plays like he was created in a lab, than it is to just create prospects, and we just kind of manufacture them. So I trade them. Let's go.
All right. In the last 2 months, because that's about how long it's been since we've talked, what is it that you think you've learned? What is it that you think you know about the upcoming college football season, which you didn't know before Memorial Day?
So I think that people might be underestimating the clock changes on just how fast it's going to make games go. And part of this is just, I don't see a lot of chatter about it on social media, but also look at the baseball games, how much faster they're going. I think we will have a similar effect. Not the same, and not as drastic as baseball, but I do think it's going to change how games operate some. I think it'll create fewer comebacks, right? Because of the ability, like you're just able to drain more time off the clock after first downs, and that will add up to maybe a drive less per game, depending on how the offenses operate. And I think I'm very curious about these SEC quarterbacks. Like I'm going to SEC on Monday, the media days, and like I expect the top quarterbacks voted on the team to be Daniels and Rogers and the Arkansas kid. And are we sure? Like, are those really guys? Like, what do we think about the SEC if those are the top 3 quarterbacks in the league? Because I think they're like great complementary pieces. I don't think they're like big time quarterbacks. And if they are the top guys,
you don't think the South Carolina kid's a big time quarterback?
Well, he hasn't played like one yet, but I think he has big time talent. Sure. I don't think he's going to get picked to be the top of the league. But it's weird to me that, okay, I can see the path for Joe Moulton putting up crazy numbers in that offense, but he's also a guy who's been benched twice, once at Tennessee and then also by Harbaugh. Are we sure Georgia and Bama don't have quarterbacks who can play? I'm pretty confident in Georgia. Bama, I'm really curious about.
Will make for an interesting start of the season then, because this is this question that we seem to have for the Alabama. This is a question that's been coming up more for Alabama about what's there with the amount of players they lose each year and still getting the rankings that they consistently get. Are they overranked heading into this year, Bud?
I don't think they are, because the amount of talent that they have on the team provides an incredible floor. And I don't see many people putting them number 1 or 2. I'm going with Georgia until it's proven to me that formula isn't working. They're clearly doing something right there. A lot of things right, actually, in Athens. And I have reasonable confidence that Beck is probably pretty good. With Bama, they just have so much talent everywhere. I was talking to my friend Cole Kublik on SEC Network, and he was telling us how they might have the best edge rusher, the best interior defensive lineman, the best defensive back, one of the better linebackers in the conference. Saban can do a lot of damage with that. I think the O-line's better. I think receivers better. Running back, slight downgrade because they lost Gibbs, who the Lions made a first rounder. It comes down to quarterback, really, to me. And it is concerning that they went through spring with the 2 guys. And then Tommy Rees said, I'm going to go get this guy that I had at Notre Dame. The same guy that I spent my last 6 weeks at Notre Dame trying to find a replacement for, and did find in Sam Hartman from Wake. So the guy you didn't think was good enough to start for you at Notre Dame is now the guy that's going to start for Alabama. Like, that is a little bit concerning, but quarterback is the piece.
Well, and I do think the big difference between Georgia and Alabama, if let's just say talent elsewhere is pretty similar, is quite frankly the schedule. I mean, Bama's got a real schedule. West is so much better than the East. And, oh, by the way, non-conference, they're playing Texas. Georgia had their game with Oklahoma that got wiped off the schedule because of the soon-to-be merger. And, they don't really play a game in which they'll be favored by less than 10 points until Tennessee in November. Yeah. So, they've got time to transition their quarterback in, where Alabama, if that quarterback needs time, they could have 2-3 losses.
They really could. And that's we haven't even mentioned what if A&M plays to its talent level, right? Then Bama could be really facing a lot of difficult games here. Ole Miss is always kind of a pain in the butt game. Texas, I think, has real potential this year because they're better on the lines of scrimmage than they've been in, 15 years or so, I think, along both lines of scrimmage. But Bama does have a difficult schedule this year, no doubt about it. I think if you project it out, like if you swap the 2 teams, Georgia's is probably like a full win harder or easier, excuse me.
Who has a better roster heading into the season, Clemson or Florida State?
I think Clemson probably has greater upside on the roster, but I think Florida State has a higher floor. And that's because of the transfer portal usage, right? Like, I think Norvell identified some areas that they could improve and went out and used the portal to fill those holes and got some really good guys. I mean, Keon Coleman from Michigan State is a legitimate great get to put aside Johnny Wilson, and Jeremiah Byers from UTEP. And they took the top corner in the ACC from Virginia and Fentrell Cypress. So I think FSU is very deep with guys who have played a lot of football. Clemson has better upside, I think. Their ceiling, I believe, if they play to it, is higher than Florida State's. I think Florida State might have a higher floor, though. So it's an interesting question. I was talking about it the other day on the show. I was like, yeah, I can see. But I think it's viable to pick either team for the league, really.
Well, and there's a real chance they could play twice this year. They play in late September, and they could meet again 10 weeks later. Talking with Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, 2 terrific podcasts, Nolecast and Cover 3. Follow him on Twitter at Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, Bud Elliott 3, Bud Elliott 3. Listen, you do your blue chip index, in which you've got to have over 50% of your roster basically be 4 and 5 star. And it's more difficult for you to put that index together now because you have to work in transfers and all that. Florida State didn't make the list, and Clemson's pretty high up on the list. They're like 75% of their roster is blue chip, and Florida State's yet to get half their roster be blue chip. Now, I know Florida State's got the better quarterback, but that's a significant, it seems to be on paper, that's a significant talent gap, isn't it? Isn't that, more than just Clemson -3 when they meet September 23rd?
I think it's a significant potential talent or potential theoretical talent gap, right? So I'm confident that Florida State plays to at least an 18-19, which is sort of a floor of a 15, 16, 17 rank if you're doing power ratings. Clemson, I think, has a higher ceiling if they hit. Like you mentioned, Florida State has a better quarterback. We think they have the better quarterback, but it's not unheard of for a guy like Cade Klubnik, who was a former 5-star freshman last year, to take a big jump. They also had a massive upgrade at offensive coordinator. So if you want to make that argument, for sure, but we don't know it yet, right? Klubnik hasn't shown us that he's going to make that jump yet. My concerns with Clemson are offensive line depth. They don't have the same type of edge rushers this year, from what I understand, that they've had what feels like a decade now. And they didn't go out and add anybody at receiver. They're betting on what they have in-house. And the thing is, they just don't ever use the portal. And it's hard for me to believe that they don't have holes that they could use the portal to address. So I think Clemson has a lower floor and a higher ceiling from Florida State. The potential projection bars are wider with the Tigers. Not many teams just sit out the portal now.
No, and they have obviously they lose guys, so the portal's going one way out. I mean, they're still losing a player here or there, and they're not replacing them, which I think at the end of the day you have to do. Hey, I don't know. I know it doesn't help anything for this year. Miami got a big receiver yesterday. They continue to do really well in recruiting. In fact, the state of Florida has been killing it recruiting-wise.
All 3 teams are doing really well in recruiting right now. Look, if you hire Cristobal, you're not hiring him for his tremendous in-game coaching and clock management, right? You're hiring him because he's serious. You know who you hired. You hired a guy that's trying to win with the talent advantage. He wanted to get back to the Miami job because it's the best city for recruiting in the country outside of Atlanta, and he's from there, and he knows how to recruit. He's following the playbook that if you're a Miami fan, you hoped he would follow on the recruiting side. I mean, I know you wished last year would have gone a little bit better. You're hoping that the new coordinator hires that he made are better than the ones that he made last year. And I think that team does have some real room for improvement, especially if they're better along the offensive line, which I am projecting them to be. And the defense will just have to take a jump. They really kind of quit on him last year at times. And we're just non-competitive, non-effort games. I think Miami could make a jump this year. Well, not a huge one, but back to not sweating out a bowl, after Halloween.
Over under 7.5, by the way, on the Canes. All right. Is Ohio State the most talented team still in the Big Ten? Because Michigan and Penn State's defenses are in everybody's top 4 nationally. Never mind Michigan bringing back the most guys they've ever brought back under Harbaugh. Okay, a quarterback in his second year, 2 number 1 tailbacks. Are we sure that the Buckeyes roster is still clearly the best? Or have, for the first time in a really long time, Bud, have Michigan and or Penn State caught them?
I don't know that they've been caught from a roster upside perspective, but I do think that Michigan's player development has helped quite a bit to close the gap. I do think Ohio State probably still has the dudes at the premium positions who have that sort of next level upside to where if they hit, you could be like, oh, wait a second. So you had a second-year defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, who finally got his system in. You had a bunch of young defensive linemen who had great recruiting pedigree. They finally grew up. You had the best receiver we've seen in college football in a long time. And all Ryan Day really had to get right here was quarterback. And we're not betting on Ryan Day to get quarterback right. Like, you could have me on a show come November, and that could be a narrative that I hear coming out of our mouths, right? So I think from a roster upside perspective, Ohio State still has the highest upside. But I do think that they have more questions than they have had in some prior years. Like last year was a missed opportunity for them not to get the defense better than it was. They didn't get some of those young guys ready on time. I don't think they understood Knowles' scheme maybe quite as well as they needed to. And the offense was really good, but the defense didn't live up to the bargain at times. This year, I think that they do have a chance for the defense to take a step forward. And it's hard not to bet on a Ryan Day offense being really good.
But if the defense isn't there, I mean, how much pressure does Ryan Day have on him this year? Because you know how these trends come. If you start losing to the team in Ann Arbor, it goes sour quickly.
It's crazy. Like I don't think that there should be much pressure on Ryan Day. The only teams he's losing to are teams that are like in the college football playoff. He's lost 5 games as a head coach in 3 or 4 years now. Maybe is this his 5th year coaching? I'm trying to think now. Got to be almost a half decade there if this is not his 5th. When the only teams you lose to are playoff teams, you basically never have slip-up games. I have a hard time saying he's under a lot of pressure, other than the pressure that he probably puts on himself. But, yeah, I think there is some pressure because they had to go in the portal for offensive tackle pretty hard. Like, there's some uncertainty at quarterback. You want to talk about pressure. What if they lose to both? What if they lose to Michigan and Penn State? What if they finally slip up?
Well, and not only that,
the West game.
They're at Notre Dame late September. I mean, their schedule's the hardest of those 3 this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan's got nobody non-conference. Penn State's non-conference is not at Notre Dame. By the way, year 6 for Ryan Day.
Year 6. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty nuts, right? That you've only lost that number of games. I think people who are like, oh, he's a hot seat, even though he's losing to Michigan, are kind of nuts. But it's Ohio State. And ask Cooper how that went about 20 years ago, right? If you keep losing to them, they're not happy.
Listen, they lose 3 in a row. They're going to want Urban back. I'm just telling you right now, they will take him back in a heartbeat. Don't care about the other stuff. You beat Michigan. That's all they care about.
You're damn right.
They'd take him back in a heartbeat. All right, bud, listen, you cannot book yourself on the show for the rest of the month. You got to go to SEC Media Days, Big Ten Media Days. Go to work, will you?
I will. Everybody sign up for my betting email list. It's on my Twitter. Just go to my links there, and it's free. We've had tremendous success so far on the other futures and more cool stuff to come. So if you're into that free betting list, yeah.
And his spring ball stuff's incredible. The previews are just fantastic, bud. Really good job with those.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to take people through my process of my prep. And I know it's a big load to handle on myself, but I want to ask all the questions that I want to ask, right? And really learn and not ask fluff stuff. So it's been fun.
All right. Bud Elliott 24/7. No Cast, Cover 3 podcast. Follow him on Twitter, Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, Bud Elliott 3, Bud Elliott 3.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Or at least even if we ended a minute earlier. Right?
Yeah,
We
just
have to end
something that
Right.
we give ourselves an ending to the show.
I agree.
And we're both bad at it.
Yep.
It's
Not a
it's
strength.
not a one person fault
Nope,
here.
Nope, not a strength.
And I'm really good at thinking about it at 8:56.
Or 8:52:30, which we're both like, Bud wants to be a little later this year and may have to move Seth. Okay, and don't know if I want to reduce him to a 8:21 segment or not, but I'm just going to talk to him about what's your schedule on Wednesdays, and see whether or not, see if moving him,
Man, if he could do 36 or 38.
right. If he could do 7:38, it'd be awesome. Because last year Bud did 7:38,
I know.
Seth did 8:38.
15 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour, Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Hope you've had a good week. Thanks for ending it with us, so to speak. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 2 poll questions today. The serious one, the one we threw out there first, which, of course, if it's our meat and potatoes poll question, you guys aren't interested in it at all, which is, should the Rays and Marlins, for that matter, because they can do it too, should they give up 4 prospects to rent Ohtani for the rest of the year? May take more than that.
60-40 yes right now.
It wasn't yes, Mark. What answer do we
Hell
put?
yes.
There you go. So hell yes, 60-40. But, the poll question, which you're more interested in, if these are your choices, and you can't give us the answer, and I'm not interested in either one.
Well, they're giving us those. Trust me, they're giving us those.
If the 2 choices on television were pickleball or NBA Summer League, what would you watch?
I've had Paint Dry, Grass Grow, and Blue Bloods reruns all submitted as potential watching. But right now, pickleball getting 57% of the vote, NBA Summer League getting 43% of the vote. That's right. You'd rather watch pickleball than the NBA Summer League.
We'll say Summer League making a little bit of a push there, though. They've got it under 60-40. Listen, when we signed off yesterday, 5 guys was winning the fries contest. We came in this morning and McDonald's won it. So, a lot of things can happen after we sign off.
Darn right.
Those late returns from Miami-Dade County and all. So 21,000 on the text line. Chime in with what's on your mind. And you can always watch Miller and Moulton, twitch.tv, watch our channel, and chime in accordingly. But baseball gets underway tonight. It's not the second half of the season because it's pretty much the final 40% of the season. I will say one advantage that the Rays have, disadvantage, they've played a lot more home games. They're going to play a lot of road games the rest of the way. It is one advantage that the Mets have, and there's a lot of Mets fans out there. The Mets have played, I think, the fewest home games of any team in baseball. Mets have over 50 home games, I believe, coming up. Damn near in their final 72 games. I mean, they've got a lot of home games. Rays have played a lot of home games, but the Rays have also played 4 more games than the Orioles. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but there were a lot of people associated with the Rays who thought they were tired heading into the All-Star break because they had played more games than anyone else in baseball, I believe. Certainly 4 more than the Orioles, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's playing like an extra game every 2 weeks, where the Orioles are playing 12 games in 14 days and you're playing 13. And if you get a couple of injuries and what have you, it just all of a sudden it just kind of wears you out. So the Rays are going to have 4 more off days, Mark, the rest of the way than the Orioles will.
I think that's important.
Well, can't hurt, right?
But I think more importantly is just this team getting healthy. I mean, they're a banged-up baseball club, as good as they are. And I think you're right. I read the same things you did, that they were tired, a little bit injured as well. So we'll see. The Rays, Kansas City, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
You're going to go on the road.
I mean, they're only 39 games below 500. Their winning percentage is .286. That's exactly 2 out of every 7 the Royals are winning.
But after that series, it's 3 with the Rangers, 4 with the Orioles, 2 with the Marlins, 3 with the Astros, 3 with the Yankees is how they finish up July.
And I know we think the Marlins ended the so-called first half strongly enough that we're not asking this question anymore. You do know the Marlins still have a negative run differential, right? 14 games over 500, and they've given up 5 more runs than they've scored.
It just shows you that if they're not the best team, they're one of the 3 best, I believe, when games decided by one run.
Now, what does make me feel good about the Marlins is they have a winning road record. You know who else plays a lot of home games the rest of the way? The Phillies. Phillies have only played 38 home games. They've played 51 road. Think about that the rest of the way. Phillies haven't even played. They've played 60% of their schedule, and they haven't played 50% of their home games yet. Mets have played 39 home games, 51 on the road. The Mets run differential's better than the Marlins. The Marlins are 10 games ahead of them in the standings. You gotta love sports, huh? But how about these races? 5 of the 6 races are 2 games or less. Take Moulton, split the season in half theory, and blow it up.
Reds got the Brewers by a game. Diamondbacks and Dodgers are tied.
With the Giants only 2.5 back in third.
The Orioles 2 back of the Rays. The Twins a half game back of the Guardians. And the Rangers and Astros are separated by 2 games as well.
And right now, the top 3 spenders in baseball would all miss the playoffs. Mets are number 1. Yankees are number 2. Padres are number 3. Yankees just a game out of the playoffs. And they're, 7 games over 500. Yankees are still a pretty good team. Mets and Padres have not gotten to the point where we can call them pretty good. They're talented, woefully underachieving, and about 2.5 weeks away from getting blown up.
Sounds about exactly right.
And the Padres are like selling out all their games too. That's an interesting dilemma if you're the GM and the ownership there. Because you're all in and you put a good roster together, and most of that roster comes back next year, although not all of it. Like, I don't think Blake Snell's under contract next year. I don't think Josh Hader's under contract next year.
Well, and the Padres, another team, they're 39 runs above
right
in run differential.
Right. Their run differential is actually the second best in the division. They're 4 games below 500 in 4th. In fact, their run differential is the third
best in the league, right? behind the Dodgers and the Braves.
Right. So that's not working out so far this year in baseball. The whole run differential stat. Now, usually over 162 games, it does. We'll see if it does. I'll say this for the Marlins. The August schedule is tough. Now, they're not starting post-All-Star break here with an easy series. Obviously, they're in Baltimore. And they've got a 2-gamer with the Rays, I think, coming up in a couple of weeks. But believe me, for as challenging as some of their series in July are, August is brutal. So
they've got to make hay the rest of the month. As you said, David, this is
they've got a couple of easy series. I think they got a Rockies and a Tiger series in amongst the mix.
And the Cardinals. They go after this Orioles, they go Cardinals, Rockies, 2 with the Rays, 3 with the Tigers. Take care of business, because when August starts, the Phillies come to Phillies, Rangers, Reds, Yankees, Astros, Dodgers.
By the way, if we're talking about them trading Ohtani, I know he's on the injured list. I'm not sure in baseball if you can trade someone on the injured list or not. I think you can, but I could be wrong. But, like A-Rod in the All-Star break on 2 occasions on Fox said, if I were the Angels, I would trade Ohtani, which is going to lead me to end up trading Trout. Now, he's assuming in the offseason. And then he went on to say, and the Angels need to turn the franchise over to Theo Epstein. He's done it twice. He's done it in 2 places in which, they hadn't won in forever. He obviously can do it. You just turn the franchise over to him, already sell the team, and then just let Theo do his magic. I have to admit, and he's catching heat for this.
How?
Thank you. I mean, first off, you're trading Ohtani. Well, he's leaving at the end of the year. Everybody in baseball says he's not coming back. I mean, the whole sport says, I don't know where he's going, but I know where he's not going to be. And turning a franchise over to Theo Epstein, when is that a bad move? I know people don't like A-Rod, but it doesn't mean everything the guy says is stupid.
No, and talk about 3 guys on a set that can say whatever the hell they want.
2 Hall of Famers and a guy who's not in who has the numbers to be in.
Right.
I will say their chemistry is pretty good too.
I enjoyed their I watched the All-Star pregame, enjoyed their conversation.
I do think it's good to put Ortiz in between the two, though.
Absolutely.
But all right, work with me here. Let's assume you can trade someone who's on the IL, because I think you can in baseball. I think you can, because Trout's on the IL. And by the way, you could just, even if he's not healed, you could, for the purposes of a trade, just take him off the IL. Like, he's not on the 60-day IL. He's on the 15-day IL. But if you sat down with Trout now, Mark, and said, listen, we're going to trade Ohtani, does that mean you want to be traded? Why wait to the end of the season and do it in the offseason? You could go to Trout now. Trout's got 10-5 rights, so he can veto any trade. So he can do like an NBA superstar and just say, I only want to go to here, or I only want to go to here, here, and here. Well, he's going to say the same thing in July that he's going to say in November.
David Sampson's always said you can get a lot more in the summer than you can at the trade deadline. He sat in the seat, so I'm just going by.
You mean the winter?
Yeah, in the offseason. I'm
Right.
sorry. You can get more in the offseason than you can before the deadline. So I don't think that they would, based on someone who sat in the chair told us that.
But the one so-called advantage to trading someone at the deadline is you get an extra run with the guy. Now, obviously, he's hurt. He's got the broken hamate bone there, hand, wrist, and he's going to be out probably till at least mid-August. But let's just say you're one of the 3 teams, and the Angels call you and say, hey, Trout's willing to be traded to you. You interested? What would you give me? Well, when you're sitting there figuring out what it is you're going to give him, you get him for an extra run. You get him for the final 4 to 6 weeks of this year in the playoffs, theory, and then you'll have him for the rest of his contract. I'm wondering if that's the incentive, whether it's the Phillies, because we all know that's his favorite team. He's got Eagle season tickets. He's got a home in South Jersey. It's where he grew up, the whole deal. Or it's somebody else.
It would be fascinating. I don't think there's a chance of it happening this year.
Right, and A-Rod didn't either. He said you can do Ohtani at the deadline. You'd end up doing Trout in the offseason. But I'm just wondering. I mean, because Trout may immediately upon trading Ohtani say, get me the out of here. Okay, I could do that Tuesday if you want. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today's the day when, all coming up.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East. Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh my God. The Onion's funny sometimes.
History of our society.
NCAA Committee on Infractions ruling coming down today on Tennessee.
Yeah, I just saw that.
I had to laugh. There was somebody at the ESPYs from the Dolphins receiver that's dating, broke up with one girl and is now dating another influencer. It says star Dolphins receiver, and he's like their sixth guy. Like I'm like, star.
Was he on the team last year?
Yeah. Hang on.
Sherfield?
No, hang on.
Did you see the guy who won Sports Writer of the Year in Virginia? 2 weeks after he wins the award, he gets laid off.
Thank you, Badger. Me too. I'll find out next week. All my levels are good. You know, my blood work's good, so.
Maybe he's not. No, it's Barrios.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, star? Star.
He was a star at UM. Not much in the NFL.
Thank you. That's all.
I'm happy he's in Miami, though. Very happy about that.
Wow. I got something for you here.
Okay.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, all coming up in less than 20 minutes' time. Djokovic, by the way, won the first set against the Italian Sinner. And no, he's not a bad person. It's just his last name is Sinner, S-I-N-N-E-R. Djokovic 6-3. Going for number 24, it's the most already amongst men. He's got one more than Nadal, but it would tie him all time with Margaret Court, who won 24 on the women's side. It also would give him the first 3 legs of the Grand Slam. It'd be the second time, I think, in 3 seasons that he would go to the U.S. Open with a chance to win the Grand Slam. Wasn't it 2021? He went there and he lost in the final. So, I mean, I think he won his first 27 Grand Slam matches that year and got whooped in the final, though. I mean, the guy just blew him right off the court. People are like, what the heck? But, I mean, we haven't had anybody win the Grand Slam in tennis since Laver on the men's side. A few women have done it. I mean, I don't know if anybody paid attention, but I mean, you know, arguably the greatest. I know nobody considers him, but I mean, if you got the most majors all time, I mean, arguably the greatest player of all time, if he were to throw a Grand Slam on the resume, I mean, would there be any doubt?
In his mid-30s, too.
36 years old. Throw a Grand Slam. I mean, Laver did it twice, which 7 years apart, too, but
I don't know how you would be able to argue it anymore.
But
doing something hasn't been done in generations.
69.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Almost 55 years on the men's side.
And to have the most majors and still going strong while Federer's retired and Nadal is
already announced next year's it. I'll try to play as much as I can.
You know, Rafa wants one shot at him at the French. I don't think Rafa cares about anything else but making sure he beats him at the French. And I know he's won it a gazillion times, but one more, and that's where he thinks he'll be able to get it.
And come on, we've said if Rafa enters the French Open, he better be the 1 seed.
Thank you.
Period. End of sentence. I don't care what the rankings are. Don't care if he hasn't played a match in 2 years. If Rafa enters the French, he better be the 1 seed.
That's ludicrous. I'm sorry.
Why? He's the greatest clay court player by far. He's lost 3 matches at Roland Garros in his career. And the fact Djokovic got 2 of the wins, I think furthers the argument as to how great Djokovic is.
You could argue right now that his Spaniard, Carlos Alcaraz, is better than him.
No way. Not on clay. I'm telling you, if he's healthy enough to enter the tournament, he's the favorite to win it.
Do you think Alcaraz should have been the 1 seed in Wimbledon?
No.
That's a joke.
That's a joke.
So then why would you want to give it to him at the French?
By the way, I'm just curious, how many times has he won the French? Thank you. The defense rest.
He's got 15 more.
But I know it's tennis and nobody pays attention anymore in this country, and it's a damn shame. But because the guy who now could arguably be the greatest of all time is 5 sets away from being 3/4 of the way to the Grand Slam.
Do you think that a lot of it has to do with that there aren't any American
Everything
males?
has to do with the fact that there aren't any Americans. Yeah. I don't know how many different ways we can say it.
But why people don't watch tennis as much?
Because there's not any American males.
It's a shame. Because I remember Agassi a little bit, and I remember what's his name? The American
Sampras?
There you go.
No. Fast serve.
Roddick?
Roddick.
There you go.
Roddick.
Well, and also the fact it's not just also that an American hasn't won a major in the last 20 years. It's that, Agassi contended in majors into the mid-2000s. Federer beat him, I think, in the 2005 U.S. Open final. Roddick, was in the legendary 2009 Wimbledon final against Federer with the, amazing final set, which was like 15-13 or something like that. And Roddick should have won the match. But that's the one that, McEnroe says, I still wake up thinking about the 84 French final against Lendl. Roddick still wakes up thinking about he lost 3 Wimbledon finals to Federer, and that was the one. He had a sitter in a tiebreak, a backhand volley sitter to win the tiebreak, and he netted it and ended up losing in a tiebreak. Ended up losing in 5 legendary sets. But it was that really after Roddick. Okay, we've gone now almost 15 years with an American male that's not even contending seriously to win a major. It's not that they're not winning majors, it's that we don't even have anybody who can seriously contend.
And it's never the same guy when they do. There's nobody that's had any power.
There's no
and
consistency.
even, while it was fun, Eubanks had a nice little run here.
Yeah.
As we pointed out, he's 27.
Right. I mean, everybody he was beating
he's
along
new
the way,
on,
he was
he's new
older
on
than.
the scene, but he's not new.
And last year you had Tiafo that went to the Wimbledon semifinal and he got smacked.
And we'll see if we hear from him again.
Right.
So, but yeah, it has everything to do with it.
And now there's not an American on either side. So tennis will continue its downward spiral in this country until an American can prove that they can win majors.
Right. And believe me, the USTA on both sides now is trying to figure out what's the rest of the world doing. That's because everything we did for 3 generations was better than the rest of the world. And now it's pretty clear that not only is the rest of the world caught up, they've passed us on both sides of the net. So do we have to do things differently? Do we have to change our methods to basically the European method? Especially on the women's side, Russians, the Ukrainians, Europeans. I mean, you take the Williams sisters out of it. Okay. You got a, little, Madison Keys here and
Coco Gauff there
and, Ruben this and Sloane Stephens this, but, otherwise. So we'll see. But anyway, Djokovic won the first set in his semifinal. And when we come on the air on Monday, he will have won 24. I mean, come on. When this tournament started, and even now, I'll give you the field.
I wouldn't have taken it.
In the U.S. Open, I'll give you the field. If he wins Wimbledon and he's 3/4 of the way there, I'll take Djokovic, you take the field. No?
Ooh, I'll take it in the U.S. Open.
Okay. Remember, he hasn't been able to play in it.
I know.
Because of the whole, pandemic thing.
Just because the odds are so great against it, I'd take the field.
And there should be pressure and all that, but all right. You mentioned something during the commercial break, which I think is worthy of throwing out there.
I mentioned a lot of things during the commercial break.
Yeah, right. That's a very fair point.
Which one are you talking about?
Well, I know because of a couple of things that would really concern you if we brought it up on the air. But you mentioned, it's been pointed out that, a lot of times on Fridays, you get what? You get a news dump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the NCAA today, and sometimes it could be a big news dump, and sometimes it can be trying to squash a news dump. The NCAA today reportedly is going to release their
findings on Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. The former coach and Fulmer, and, remember he's alleged this was before you were allowed to pay players. He was trying to buy players, and that's why we have the AD and the head coach that we have at Tennessee now. And right.
I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do for past crimes of things that aren't illegal anymore. How hard can you throw the book at someone when those rules don't apply anymore?
Also, since your judgment and justice is so selective, if you're the NCAA, I mean, think about in basketball. Arizona got virtually nothing. Kansas has so far gotten virtually nothing. I mean, you're going to come down on a football school, on a football program? I mean, can you do it with a straight face?
I don't know how you can. But it's the NCAA, David, so all bets are off on how they're going to rule on this thing.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Arch, Middle Tennessee State's going to lose 5 scholarships.
Yeah, I know. How funny is that?
It's a good line.
It was Tarkanian, right? What was it that he said? The 1 year so-and-so was facing, and he says, he picked some school out like, man, San Jose's really going to get screwed. Boop, boop, boo. That's not a good way to start the second set for Sinner. He takes your heart away. Like he
really
did it
does.
to Sinner. Sinner had break points on the very first game of the match on Djokovic's serve. Djokovic fends him off and breaks him. Now Sinner plays a really good rest of the set. He's starting the second set on his serve. Djokovic breaks him right out of the chute.
I find myself always watching Djokovic and just like vocally saying like, "Oh,
just
come on,
takes your heart away."
jeez."
Gerald Ford would have been 110 today.
Cheers to President Ford.
You know what stinks? Working on your birthday.
I do it nearly every year.
Yeah.
You get to a certain age.
Doesn't matter.
You're still young enough where, you get decent gifts. And
I mean, I don't really care about my birthday too much anymore, but like, I don't know.
There are some places you work, they give you your birthday off.
They used to here.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I would have had the All-Star break a week earlier. I would have the All-Star break right at the halfway point
of the season.
Right. And also, me, I'd split the season in half. Although I'm open to getting rid of the All-Star game. I mean, I would be open to it.
Would you take a break?
Maybe an extra.
Or would you have an in-season tournament for money?
No, I would. Thank you, Adam Silver. No, I would not. The only thing that, though, if you're running baseball, I mean, 7 million people watch the game, or 6 million people. I'm telling you, you won't have a bigger audience. Maybe a Yankee playoff game, but you might have to wait till the LCS.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes to the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, like Steve Carney, midway through our 7 o'clock hour, Bud Elliott at this time last hour. Make sure you download our podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com. So we were talking briefly at the end of the last segment about the NCAA is going to rule today on Tennessee. Arch in our Twitch chat room. Oh, yeah, they sure are. And Middle Tennessee State's going to lose 5 scholarships.
Well played, Arch. Well played.
That's probably right.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1789, Bastille Day. The French Revolution begins with the storming of the Bastille prison in Paris. 1798, the first direct U.S. federal tax on state was enacted to finance military buildup. 1853, U.S. President Franklin Pierce, you remember him,
no,
opens the exhibition of the Industry of All Nations, the World's Fair in New York City. 1870, Congress grants Mary Todd Lincoln a life pension in the amount of $3,000 a year.
Wow. 150 years ago.
Is it enough?
It seems like a lot 150 years ago. $3,000 a year? And we didn't even have a minimum wage.
Insignificant baseball stat of the day, tapping in 1946. Cleveland's Lou Boudreau hits 4 doubles and a home run. But it really wasn't the story of the game. The Red Sox would win 11-10 because Ted Williams would hit 3 home runs and have 8 RBIs.
He was pretty good.
When you have 4 doubles and a home run and you're upstaged by someone, that's a rough day.
And at the end of the broadcast, the television crew doesn't make you the player of the game. I know the game wasn't on TV back then. Just, it was a joke.
51, 48 Triple Crown champion Citation wins the Hollywood Gold Cup in his last race to become America's first racing millionaire horse.
And we would go 25 years to the next Triple Crown winner. Had to wait till Secretariat in 73.
1969, two things happened. One, the $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 bills are officially withdrawn from circulation.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So we had a $500 bill?
A $1,000 bill, a $5,000 bill, and a $10,000 bill.
Oh, is this a Monopoly board game?
Exactly.
Really? We did that? Damn.
Be a lot less paper in hip-hop music videos if we still had those.
Yeah, but come on, you can't use a bill bigger than a 20 at most places nowadays. Imagine if we had bills that big.
Marlins games, cashless. They no longer accept cash in the whole ballpark. That's how we're
Rays, it's been since like the pandemic, I think, with no cash.
Crazy. You can't buy a beer off of the guys with cash.
Sorry, Mark.
I had like 3 people like, you got to be kidding me.
You've got to be kidding me.
You got to be kidding me.
Also in 69, Easy Rider was released.
Ooh.
73, Weisskopf wins at Royal Troon.
His only major.
Today in 74, Billy Martin becomes American League's first manager ejected by an umpire from 2 games in one day. 1982, the film adaptation of Pink Floyd's The Wall is released. 83, Mario Brothers is first released by Nintendo.
I did well.
85, the last USFL game, round 1. Baltimore Stars defeat the Oakland Invaders 28-24.
They didn't think it was going to be the last one. Thought they were going to win in court. They were moving to the fall. They were going to kick you know what.
$1 3 times. 86, Vince Neil begins his 30-day sentence for vehicular homicide.
Wow, that's less than Dante Stallworth.
You're damn right. Today in 1989, when Harry Met Sally was released.
I Want What She's Having.
Such a great scene. 2008, The Dark Knight premieres. In 2019, Djokovic wins the longest ever Wimbledon final over Federer, 13-12 in the 5th. The match lasted 4 hours and 57 minutes. It was his 16th Grand Slam title. Those born today that are no longer with us: William Hanna, the animator, Woody Guthrie, Gerald Ford, and Lee Elder. Those celebrating birthdays today: Robin Ventura is 56, Eric Dampier is 49, Darrell Rivas is 38, and Conor McGregor is 35.
Billy the Kid shot to death today in 1881. I don't know, just the name. Hank Aaron hit his 500th home run today in 68. He would go on to hit 255 more, which is a pretty good career in and of itself.
Really is, when you think about it.
But he was playing against Willie Mays and the Giants
when he hit number 500.
When he hit number 500. In fact, I'm wondering, I don't know if he's ahead of Willie Mays at the time in 68. I think he is, but I'm not sure, actually. Probably look that up. All right, because Mays hit his 600th home run in 71 as a pinch hitter, or 70, I believe, as a pinch hitter.
He was behind him. September 13th of 65 is when Mays hit his 500th home run.
Wow, so Mays was almost 3 years ahead of Aaron in the home run race. How about that?
Say, hey, kid.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Kentucky for the good, where a man found gold coins in his backyard. They're all from the Civil War. 700 $1, $10, and $20 gold coins that were issued by the U.S. Mint between 1840 and 1863. The discovery is being called the Great Kentucky Hoard, worth millions. For the bad, we go to Collier County, where a 79-year-old man was attacked by an alligator early Thursday morning. They've not disclosed the name of the man who was attacked. It was at 5 a.m. The man called 911 after being bit in the leg.
Yikes.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Detroit, where Brian Ferguson, who represented District 1 for the Detroit Police Board of Commissioners, no longer is on the Detroit Board of Commissioners.
Why?
He was caught in his car with a prostitute.
Sorry, did you say he was a police chief?
He was a member of Detroit's Police Board of Commissioners.
Oh, man.
In the body cam coverage of the police, he asked officers if they could help him out when he was caught in the act in a car. He resigned. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 14th, 2023.
Sir, what do you mean by help you out? What is it that you're wondering?
You don't have any money and you got to pay her, or how's this going to work?
I was going to say you need a 20. What is it?
Does she deserve a tip?
Just,
for taking yours.
Are you looking to get off with a warning? This isn't usually the thing that we give people warnings about. Just so this isn't going 45 in a 35 mile an hour zone.
7:15 in the morning in the car with the sex worker. It's a lot of light.
Yeah, that's a little too early. You got to make that 2-3 hours earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah. Although I have to admit, we're speaking there as if like we've done it before and we know what we're doing. I'm just going off of, things I've seen in hour-long dramas.
There you go.
Right. You got to do it when it's dark out. Baseball's back, baby.
Nice transition.
Thank you. There are some really good series, and Apple TV is not interested in any of them. No, they've got Giants, Pirates, but they have Mets, Dodgers. I mean, that's so typical. Wouldn't you want to go maybe Marlins, Orioles?
Definitely Marlins, Orioles. I mean, Padres, Phillies isn't a bad series.
How about Brewers, Reds for Ellie De La Cruz. So, the Rays are in Kansas City against the Royals. They're minus 305. Ooh. Tyler Glasnow on the hill. You know what? I would take a flyer on the Royals tonight.
At home after the break?
Yeah, coming after the break. I mean, sometimes teams take a day to get get going and what have you.
And didn't the Royals just take care of the Rays the last time they played?
I think they won a game.
I thought they won the series for some reason.
I don't think so. But they're 39 games below 500, so I'm just playing the percentages saying they didn't.
Absolutely.
But so Padres in Philadelphia, Mets against the Dodgers, Angels hosting the Astros, teams who need to get it in gear very quickly or else their GMs are selling. I love what the Cardinals GM came out and said. Quote, "We're trading guys."
I saw that article and those quotes and thought of you immediately because that's the answer you'd give.
Yeah.
What are you planning on doing at the trade deadline? Trading guys.
Trading a bunch of guys.
Have you seen our record?
Yeah.
And by the way, the Rays and the Royals split 4 in late June.
Cardinals are 14 games below 500. They have the third worst record in the National League. I mean, I got 72 games left. I mean, they would have to go like 50-22 to have a shot at making the playoffs. Seriously.
And that would be to win their own division. I mean, realistically, that would be their best shot.
So they got a bunch of guys whose contracts are up at the end of the year. I mean, they got Goldschmidt and Arenado, and one of them's under contract through 24 and the other one longer than that. So, could you bowl them over in which they would actually unload one of their big two? Well, but remember, they were a perennial playoff team, and they fired their manager who took them to the playoffs 3 straight years. And they have not been back since. They kind of said he was the reason we couldn't take the next step. We need a better manager. Really?
And they've taken 2 steps backward since.
Uh-huh. And not only that, apparently this guy is not getting along very well with
Right.
everybody.
I mean, that happened right from the get-go.
Right, yeah. So, but I love it. White Sox, Cardinals, basically any franchise Tony La Russa has touched. The A's, they're trading, guys.
Do you really want anybody from the A's?
Well, they've traded most everybody
Right.
actually already. So, but I love it. We've got just enough bad teams that I think we can have a lot of deals. We got a lot of teams in contention who need to fortify, and we have just enough bad teams. Cardinals, Rockies, Nats, who have a third baseman everybody wants. You may get the Mets and the Padres in a sell-off.
Well, that's why I'd rather see the Mets and Padres play no better than 500 for the next 2 weeks to make the decision a little easier for them. Because if they don't get off to great starts in the second half, then they are more apt to be sellers.
A's, Royals, White Sox in the American League, who right now are definitely selling. Detroit's an interesting case. Does Detroit think that they could be decent next year and contend in a bad division? If so, you don't sell. If you think we're 2-3 years away, you sell what you got. Remember, they got a guy who'd be a frontline starter, the lefty, for most teams. That can get you something. Of course, I'd give him away for a song if they take the Javi Baez contract off my hands. I don't know what a stake that was.
Most decisions they've made have turned out to be mistakes. I think they should be sellers.
Yeah, not only that, the young guys they've drafted that everybody thought, hey, good pick. Yeah, they ain't panning out either. That's a bad run.
Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Exactly. Djokovic up a break midway through the second set. Women's final tomorrow, men's final Sunday. Scottish Open going on as well. Rory, Max Homa, they're in contention. Padraig Harrington's actually in contention.
He's playing unbelievably well.
He's playing so well that people have actually seriously brought up, should he be on the Ryder Cup team?
And I kind of laughed at that when you first said it. And when you start looking at who's on the European roster for captain's picks, it's not that laughable.
I think he had a top 15 at the U.S. Open. He's on the Champions Tour. Just saying.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll do it all over again Monday morning, 6 a.m. right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.